35%. Chapter 201. Young Master Hua. Young Master Hua. The old man watched Hua Kai's armor disperse from his head. Hua Zichen looked at him with his head exposed, with a hint of ridicule at the corner of his mouth. Lord Hua, look at this matter today. Mr. Li, are you okay? How can you be able to deal with young Master Hua? Young Master Hua came here today specifically to marry Princess Jila. I blame my family for the delay. Otherwise these misunderstandings won't arise. The old man said, helping the Shantian realm to rise. Looking at King Lu's face today, I won't kill you. But I will tell King Lu truthfully about today. Hua Zichen said coldly. Master Xie Hua's grace for not killing. Mr. Li knew how stupid he was today when he knew Hua Zichen's strength. Hua Zichen was able to marry Princess Jila, that was Wang Qi's mouth. If he shot Hua Zichen today, it would be disrespectful to Wang Qi. Hua Zichen killed him. Wang Lu can only say that killing him was good, even if Hua Zichen didn't do it today. To kill him, King Lu must also punish him severely, otherwise how to confess to King Qi. After Hua Zichen said that he rode to the inner city gate, he must walk through the gate today to welcome his relatives. When he came to the gate, the inner city gate finally opened slowly, and Qing Jirtai followed along riding on a BMW. The old official knew that Hua Zichen was angry, so he shook his head. Some things were not for him to decide. He only asked Hua Zichen not to be too strong in the Great Hall for a while, otherwise he might be punished this time. Hua Zichen entered the inner city wall of Chufu and saw Lu Palace not far away. The population of Chufu City is more than 100,000, which is much worse than Linzi City. The inner city is the size of Guangxian City. He rode all the way to the gate of King Lu Palace, and no one dared to stop him. Although Hua Zichen came to the Lu Palace for the first time, he basically saw the situation of the Lu family in Lu. These aristocratic families in Chufu dare not take themselves seriously, they are definitely not afraid of King Lu's disposal. Now they dare not stop themselves, who are they afraid of? It is Qi Guo behind himself. After entering the Lu Palace, Hua Zichen did not dismount his horse all the way. Qing Jirtai also rode behind him, and walked to the gate of Jingfu Hall, where a team of palace guards stood neatly on both sides of the gate. But Lord Hua is here. King Lu and the ministers have been waiting for a long time. A father-in-law saw Hua Zichen walking over in a hurry. I encountered a small incident on the road. I wasted time. Let Wang Lu wait a long time. Qing Jirtai, you are waiting here. Hua Zichen finished dismounting and reached into the pocket under the Tianlongju saddle and took it out. A package and a pile of small boxes walked alone in the direction of the Great Hall. The father-in-law took Hua Zichen all the way to the gate of Jingfu Hall. Hua Zichen saw that there were more than a dozen people waiting quietly in the hall. A Bufin man who was about 60 years old was sitting on the throne. This is King Lu. N.S. Qi Gua who is family, what a big face. Let me wait for the monarch and ministers of the state of Lu for the whole morning. Hua Zichen was just about to meet the king of Lu, when the minister in the Great Hall said aloud. I have seen Lu Jun. When I went to Chufu City today, the people of Lu were too enthusiastic, and made Lu Jun and you wait for a long time. Hua Zichen gave King Lu a gift of elders, and then he accused the surrounding Lu officials. Arrive. Young Master Hua entered the hall with arms, but to put King Lu to put in one's eyes. Since the Hua family is going to be married to the state of Lu, I don't know where is the gift of acceptance. Young Master Hua doesn't want to put our princess empty-handed. Let's get married. At this time, another minister was in trouble. As a family of great powers, how could theistic ceremonies be known to the Hua family? Today, I will present a serious demonic beast skin to King Lu. Hua Zichen said, raising the cloth bag in his hand over his chest. King Lu raised his hand, and the father-in-law on the side hurried forward to take the cloth bag. He took out the wolf skin from the cloth bag. Everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw it. This demonic beasts can't be killed easily. A demonic beast skin can make a rank 6 or more leather armor. Besides, it is a rare serious demonic beast skin. I saw that the demonic beast skin was full of silver light, and the entire fur was extremely soft and longer than 3 meters. Demonic beast skins are generally worth 10,000 gold to start. This serious skin is not something you can buy with money. It represents an identity. In addition, these are 10 treasure pill. The specific effect is explained in the pill box. Hua Zichen saw that King Lu had carefully watched serious animal skins, and said, taking out 10 pill boxes one after another. At this time, the father-in-law hurried forward to take all the pill boxes and handed them to King Lu, who opened the pill boxes and nodded after just a glance. The gift of acceptance of the Hua family is no less than that of families above the third rank. It's also bothersome to see a monk. Later you can go to the harem to see Jila. She has never been out of the palace since she came back the year before last. If you betray her in the future, I will never forgive you. Wang Lu said. His eyes showed his doting for Princess Jila, who is his youngest daughter who has always received the most favor from him. Today, seeing Hua Zichen dealt with appropriately, he was also very satisfied. Hearing what King Lu said, Hua Zichen was moved in his heart. Jila kept her promise and was waiting for him all the time. Now she is over 20 years old, which is not a small age for a princess of a country. Hua Zichen couldn't wait to fly her wings to Princess Jili's side. The Hua family's acceptance ceremony is heavy, but it seems to be against the rules. The acceptance ceremony pays attention to the 8 blessings. It seems that the Hua family wants to get married with our Lu country. Like this is not enough. An annoying voice came, and the officials of the state of Lu could be regarded as vassals of the Lu family. They had the responsibility and obligation to maintain the prestige of the master family, and Hua Zichen had to return. In addition, there are gold million taels, 10 BMWs, snow salt 100 stones, Lingluo brocade hundreds, Ling rice Qianjin, and a collection of hundreds of books, because I am eager to bring my guards into the city first, presents later. The son will be delivered, and I hope Wang Lu will accept it. Hua Zichen said to Wang Lu. King Lu smiled and nodded. The total value of gifts from the Hua family was more than 100,000 gold, which was completely worthy of the Lu family's second-rank family status, so that everyone had nothing else to say. At this time, the Lu official who greeted Hua Zichen walked in anxiously from outside the hall, and King Lu couldn't help showing boredom when he saw it. Young Master Hua rode a horse, and the old man couldn't keep up with his age. The old man didn't have time to inform the city defenders today, so he was wronged. The old man entered the hall and said, and the Lu official who had been put down again not calm anymore. Young Master Hua, you clashed with the city guards as soon as you arrived in Chufu. This is probably not what Qi Guodianzhao should do. It may be difficult for the people in the city to agree to marry you the princess. An official from the state of Lu said the voice. The families of the Lu family are unwilling to marry Princess Jila from King Lu, because it is of no benefit to them. No matter which family takes Princess Jila, they can get the relationship of Princess Jila. There is also a dowry given by King Lu. You must know that the dowry of a princess in a country is not rare. Conflict. What conflict? I don't even know it at all. Hua Zichen stared at the old man beside him with wide-eyed eyes. The young man Hua fought against the city guards in the outer city. If it weren't for the old age, the consequences would be unimaginable. Could the young man forget it after a while? The old man looked at Hua Zichen and started acting stupid and reminded him. Oh, you said the outer city. Isn't that the test of Lu Guo to the next? How can it be regarded as a conflict? By the way, the famous Shantian realm and the next fight, and the next has to deal with it. The start is heavier, I don't know that gentleman. How is it now? Is the injury serious? Hua Zichen asked with a puzzled expression. The old official looked at Hua Zichen and didn't know how to answer. You all used Haoran righteousness and dared to say that there was no conflict. If he stood in front of King Lu, if he insisted on saying that it was a conflict, then most of the responsibility was not his. Hua Zichen is at most a young impulse to start without knowing how to measure it. It is impossible for King Lu to punish Hua Zichen in any way. Everyone is fine. But if you dare to be embarrassed to meet Ji Li's welcoming team, this is too courageous, Zhang Qing, this matter should be investigated carefully, and those involved will never forgive. Wang Lu said to him. The officials who had been embarrassed by Hua Zichen just now said. The official had a bitter face. There must be a scapegoat for this matter. If the matter of preventing Qi Guodianzhao from entering Chufu city spreads to Qi, anyone who cannot handle Lu will bear Qi's anger. Coming out of the great hall, Hua Zichen couldn't help smiling at the corners of his mouth. Today's matter is considered complete. After today's matter, I believe that there will not be too many of the Lu family who dare to attack themselves. The next step is to prepare the dowry for Princess Jila by the Lu family. Invite guests to witness the marriage of the Hua family and the Lu family. As a 9th-rank family, it is rare for the Hua family to marry a 2nd-rank Lu family's daughter. In-laws in this world are the best means of alliance and the main reason why most aristocratic families can endure for a long time. 5th Master, how is it? Qing Jirtai hurriedly stepped forward when he saw Hua Zichen coming out. Everything is fine. You all go to the official store to rest first. I will go to see Jila and come back in the afternoon, tell Yu Jun to take care of the good family, don't cause trouble in Chufu City easily, there are many people who want to see our Wahia jokes. Pay attention. After Hua Zichen said, let Tianlongju go to the official post with Qing Jirtai first, and he walked towards the harem under the leadership of a small eunuch. After passing through more than a dozen courtyards, Hua Zichen came to a single courtyard in the West Palace. The courtyard was about 2 acres in size. Inside the courtyard was independent and beautiful. It seems that Ji Li's life here should be good. The women who walked into the courtyard and saw the guards arrived, all blushed and happily reported to Princess Jila that if Princess Jila married Hua Zichen, they would all be Hua Zichen's concubine in the future. Princess Jila does not belong to the marriage. The married princess was married to the head of an affiliated family. If Princess Jila married a family in Lu, then she would be the speaker of the family, and her husband would not be able to accept concubines without her consent. Even if the two finally disagree, Princess Jila will always be the principal of this family. And if it is a marriage, the two families are completely equal, and the princess must be completely married to the husband. She only plays a role in strengthening the family relationship between the two parties, and the two meanings are completely different. 35%. Chapter 202. When Hua Zichen arrived, the whole other courtyard looked very lively. While several court ladies happily told Hua Zichen about Princess Jili's situation, they took him to the great hall where Princess Jili lived. This other courtyard was just a tall palace. After crossing a row of wing rooms and a small bridge, Hua Kai saw Princess Jila running towards him happily in a red dress. When Hua Zichen saw Princess Jila again, he couldn't help being moved. He looked at each other quietly, and the maids beside him couldn't help but retreat to the side. You are finally here. Princess Jila threw herself into Hua Zichen's arms and whispered in his ear. Hua Zichen felt a drop of hot tears fall on her shoulder. I'm late. Hua Zichen gently patted Princess Jila on the back, and said softly. Haha, it's not too late. You said that you will pick me up for 3 years, and it's only 2 years now. I thought I would have to wait another year. Princess Jila got up from Hua Zichen's arms and wiped her tears of joy. Said with a smile. When the two met for the first time in 2 years, they found that each other had not changed at all, except that Princess Jila looked more beautiful and Hua Zichen looked more handsome and confident. Go to my palace. I have hired an embroidery master in the past 2 years. She has taught me a lot of embroidery skills, and I will show you it. Princess Jila took Hua Zichen's hand and was happy in her heart said. The maids on the side retired wittily, and the two of them entered the palace and brought him to the own embroidery room, each introducing him to own's achievements. Hua Zichen stroked Jili's hair lightly. Princess Jila could not help but lean gently in his arms when she saw his affectionate eyes. When you arrive at the Hua family, there will be no such big palace to live in, and there are not so many gold, silver and jade articles. The Hua family is just an ordinary family, you must be prepared. Hua Zichen looked at the house full of gold, silver and jade articles, and there are so many court ladies who specialize in serving her alone. He never thought that Jila would be in such a life environment, which was somewhat inconsistent with the character of Jila in his heart. I know, I haven't been to Wahia. I like the relaxed and lively atmosphere of Wahia. Big brother sisters-in-law are very kind to me, and care. Princess Jila remembered being in Wahiapu said with a smile. Yeah, but Wahiabao is different now. There are more people and a lot bigger. There are a lot of delicious food in the village, and you will love it when the time comes. After the Wahia became an aristocratic family, Hua Zichen slowly gave Jila talking about the changes in the Chinese family in the past 2 years. Princess Jila was also very happy after hearing this. By the way, do you know why my surname is Ji? Suddenly Jila asked. Hua Zichen hadn't really thought about this issue. As the most beloved daughter of King Lu, it was strange that Princess Jila was not named Lu. Why? Hua Zichen asked. My maiden name is Ji. He is a direct line of the Zhou royal family, and he gave birth to me 100 years after he married his father. Jila said. For the first time, Hua Zichen heard Princess Jila tell him about his mother. Zhou was the only first-rank family in the Central Plains before the rise of the Xishangs. Later, the monarch of Zhou fell at the mouth of demonic beasts and slowly lost control of all countries in the world. However, there are still many countries that listen to Zhou's orders. And Princess Jili's mother was able to give birth to her after she was 100 years old. It must be above the strength of Shantian, and it is not easy to be able to give birth to her with King Lu of the foundation building. When Hua Zichen heard this, he slowly understood why the family of Lu State prevented him from marrying Princess Jila. Not only did he marry Lu State, he was able to establish relations with Zhou state as well, so that he would have a relationship with Central Plains in the future. It is much easier for countries to negotiate. After lunch, the two took a walk in the garden holding hands. Princess Jila suddenly said that she wanted to go out of the palace to see the people from the Chinese family. So Hua Zichen took Princess Jila out of the palace. A team of more than 20 court guards sent each other, more than a dozen court ladies followed, and everyone swaggered all the way to the official post. The principal of the Guanjin saw Princess Jila coming, and hurriedly asked everyone to come out to greet him. Hua Zichen did not like the etiquette of the emperor's house, and he did not like the cumbersomeness when he saw Princess Jila. Princess Jila asked the guards to wait in the official post, and she and Hua Zichen took the two palace ladies to the inner courtyard of the official post. The officer in charge of the official post took them to the place where the Hua family welcome team was staying and retired. Yu Jun, Qing Jirtai and others were chatting in the yard, and saw Hua Zichen coming back with Princess Jila. He hurriedly got up to salute. Yu Shusheng, it's still the same after 2 years of not seeing you. Who are these and how can I look unfamiliar? Princess Jila said to everyone with a smile. Qing Gertai and others saw Princess Jila for the first time, and finally understood why Hua Zichen had not accepted a concubine in recent years. As a princess, Jila has a dignified appearance, and there is no lack of closeness in the noble beauty, which makes people not born with a trace of profanity. I saw the princess. We only joined the Hua family last year. We have followed Wu Yi on the battlefield. This time I accompany Wu Yi to marry you home. Qing Jirtai said. Everyone in the Hua family laughed when they heard this, and when they saw Princess Jili's arrival, even if they had completed more than half of the welcoming mission this time. Princess Jila also blushed. She gently looked at Hua Zichen and her face was full of happiness. Let's talk about it when you enter the house. Have you handed the acceptance gift to the palace of Lu? Hua Zichen interrupted everyone's discussion and walked into the house and said. All have been checked and signed by the internal officials of the palace. Lord Wu, did King Lu say when we can pick up Princess Jila back? Qing Jirtai asked. Qing Jirtai has been following Hua Zichen in the Hua family now, and the 10 special families who have been on the battlefield with Hua Zichen are like Hua Zichen's retainers. Huakai also supports the core members of the family as much as possible. In the next tens or hundreds of years, when Huakai grows up and has a son and grandson, the 5 uncles Hua Zichen, Shui Pan, Tang Lei will gradually become branches of the Hua family and develop as a family. After growing up, it is impossible for them all to be together again. Where can it be so fast? Only after receiving the gift of satisfaction, King Lu has to prepare Jili's dowry and invite the entire family of Chufu City. It is not bad that 1 month can end. Hua Zichen said. The arrival of Princess Jila made the Hua family welcome team relieved. As long as they can marry the princess home this time, they will all be a great achievement. Hua Zichen is fine every day to practice martial arts in the official post, and sometimes give instructions to everyone at the cultivation base. Sometimes the palace maid invites him to attack, and he stays at most for half a day before returning. After all, Princess Jila hadn't married him yet, so he didn't dare to have fun with Princess Jila. If this was seen by any palace lady, Princess Jili's reputation would be discredited, and this marriage would also be hindered. It's just that what makes him a little strange is that after coming to Chufu for several days, no one came to the official post to find Hua Zichen to pick something up. Perhaps it was because he had severely injured the Shantian realm, and no one dared to do it anymore. Got it. After spending a few days at the official post in the inner city of Chufu, Hua Zichen was fine and went out with everyone. In the past few days, there have been reports that Ji Ligong mainly married Qi Guotianzhao, Hua Zichen. The deeds of Wang also slowly spread in the city of Chufu. It was obvious that someone was leading the topic behind the scenes. This also showed that the marriage was basically certain, and the day when they welcomed Princess Jila back to Guangxian was not far away. Huakai has been busy repairing the granary for his family these days. Soon, a large warehouse was built underground in the Wufu of Guangxian County and Huahiapu outside the city. It was not until March 14 that the county staff went home to report. The merchant ship of the Chamber of Commerce is here. It took Huakai less than 3 hours for Luma to ride to the big market. He saw hundreds of strong men on the 2 big ships carrying food. Huakai found the person in charge of the merchant ship, and the other party said that he would not charge any money. Chairman Chu Yuncheng will talk with Huakai later. When the merchant ship left in the afternoon, Huakai asked the families to close the gate of the temporary wooden yard and began to collect food in the old way. After working hard until the middle of the night, everyone was exhausted from moving. Then they took a rest. When it was dawn, everyone demolished the temporary small wooden courtyard and rode home. Food is available, and all arrangements are written in a notebook. Huakai printed more than 10 volumes of these things he wrote and gave them to all the core members of the family. In the future, who is responsible for which part of the family's development and how to make progress will have to be passed over a period of time. Hua Xing, Hua Zawan, and Hua Zichen reported to themselves. After thinking that there was nothing left, Hua Kai began to prepare for the luggage to Jixia Academy. In fact, there is nothing to prepare for going to Jixia Academy. The clothes, food, and housing are all under the management of the academy. He only needs to determine who will be a bookboy for himself. Hua Mo and Shui Chen have the strength to enter the Jixia Academy on their own. As the son of the fourth uncle, Hua Yu is 9 years old this year. It is a good choice. If you have the opportunity, the strength of Ascension Hua family is the best. He told his grandmother the news, but after communicating with her fourth aunt, she thought that Hua Kai must bring someone who can take care of him. Hua Yu is too young. In the end, Hua Kai chose Hua Xuan. Hua Xuan had always served Hua Kai and had the best relationship with Xiaoqiang. This time it might be a long time away from home, Hua Kai decided to bring Xiaoqiang with him. Generally, students are not allowed to keep dogs in colleges, except for spirit beasts. Spirit beasts have wisdom no less than humans. Legend has it that sage even accepted advanced spirit beasts as students. Spirit beasts have been edified by human culture and made an indelible contribution to helping humans kill demonic beasts. On March 28, news came from Lindsay City that Yichu State joined the grassland countries to launch an offensive against the northern part of the Qin State. The entire Qin State has been mobilized throughout the country, and the army is constantly increasing its troops to the border. The East Hu State also cooperated with the Northland grassland countries to invade the Yan State. All parts of the Central Plains smelled an extraordinary smell. This time more than a dozen grassland countries invaded the Central Plains, and all countries may be involved. In history, there have been cases where the allied forces of nomadic countries broke through into the hinterland of the Central Plains, and that was truly deadly. The prairie people don't pay attention to benevolence and righteousness, and even children in the Central Plains are not let go. Therefore, the countries in the Central Plains appear to be extremely united when they encounter the invasion of the prairie countries. When the news reached Guangxian County, everyone was waiting for news of the battle. If Qin and Yan couldn't support it, they would definitely turn to other big countries for help. 36%. Chapter 203 Jixia Academy. In the evening, Hua Kai communicated with his grandfather, fourth uncle, and fifth uncle. Grandpa led the Guangxian business group through the Aohan tribe, and the Aohan tribe has now recovered. They plundered the population from other small tribes. Now it is no different from before the wolf disaster last year. The Guangxian business group has arrived in Aohan. The opposing party of the tribe normally deals with the merchant group. This year, because the trade groups used new style carriages, the speed was more than 30% faster than last year. After arriving at the Aohan tribe, many caravans sold some goods in exchange for some horses, so that their carriages would become double horse-drawn carriages, which would be faster. This year, the Guangxian business group did not encounter any beasts, bandits, or horse bandits along the way, and even the small wolves have become very few. In general, this year is the easiest year for business. Everything is fine in the business group, and everything is normal in the Ordos tribe where the fourth uncle is. Because of the drought this year, the water and grass are not good. For the survival of the cattle and sheep, the Ordos tribe divided all the big and small flag owners out. Each flag led a population ranging from 1,000 to 5,000 and took tens of thousands of cattle and sheep to the river near the river with rich water and grass. The place. This will make the tribe even more dangerous. The cattle and sheep are not enough to guarantee the survival of so many people. Therefore, all the banner owners carry heavy food on their horses when they leave. When the food is almost eaten, they need to return to the tribe. Transport food. This is a last resort. The cattle and sheep left after the wolf disaster must be kept as seeds. They cannot be killed easily. Only by dispersing the cattle and sheep can they reproduce better and the strength of the Ordos tribe can be restored. This year the prairie wolves have basically disappeared. Many small and medium-sized tribes have a small population left, and they have been incorporated by large tribes. The grasslands are full of empty people. The tribes are also trying to occupy more grasslands. The main forces of all large tribes are deployed. When going south to plunder. Wazawan said to Wakai. The Ordos tribe has our food support. Even if this year's drought, cattle and sheep breeding will not be affected. Their cattle and sheep can be restored in 2 or 3 years at most. Even if the other large tribes plunder more this year, their vitality has been severely damaged. When will they react? Maybe the Ordos tribe has become a behemoth that they can't afford. Wakai said. Others nodded when they heard this. After the wolf disaster, the Ordos tribe gathered dozens of dilapidated small and medium-sized tribes and gained a population of nearly 100,000 because of sufficient food. I have to admit their status. So the Ordos tribe has a total population of about 250,000 this year. This is not a small number. Let's not have enough food there. Wa Zichan said. Basically enough. The slaves of the tribe are not the same as our slaves. They basically don't need much food. Those slaves are also strong, and they can survive even if they eat 1 meal a day. Wazawan said. Everyone shook their heads when they heard it. The slaves in the grassland have worn away only their survival instincts. The slaves purchased by the Wa family had no 3 months of teaching, and it was usually difficult to communicate. Wushu Wa Zichan has not received the exact time to welcome her, so they can only continue to wait patiently in Chufu City. Wakai originally wanted to wait until after attending the 5th uncle's wedding before going to Jixia Academy. Your grandfather and 4th uncle are not there. I will take Jila back and wait until the wedding in early October. Then you can apply for a family visit holiday from the Shuigong. I believe King Qi will agree to it. Wa Zichan told China K said. On March 30th, Huakai woke up in the morning to check the family property panel. Wahiapu. 7 class family. Prosperity. 1869. Combat power. 1460. Agriculture. 1237. Animal husbandry. 261. Commercial. 1012. Culture. 338. Comprehensive strength. 6177. Allies. Ordos tribe, 6th rank, Yao family, 7th rank, Lu family, 2nd rank, Sihai Chamber of Commerce, 4th rank. Affiliated forces. Jia family, 9th rank. Hostile forces. Lindsay City Booze family, 7th rank. Funds. 4 purple gold coins, 317689 taels of gold, 794,820 taels of silver, and 9,438,018 bone coins. Luck value. 5,621. Portable space. 3 cubic meters. The Lu family has established an alliance with the Wa family. This is good news, at least it shows that Wushu has no problem marrying Princess Jila back. Huakai will also have a 2nd rank family as an ally, and use it as a springboard to build relationships with more families. As a new family, the only thing that the Wa family lacks now is the network of relationships. In half a year, the family's comprehensive strength ascension has reached 1,000 points. This speed is already very good. The space funds have exceeded 360,000 gold. The Wahia County and Wahiapu now have a monthly income of $1,000, and the family construction funds are also sufficient. He intends to put all bone coins and silver are left, and small currency is what the market needs most. Seeing the family luck value reached 5,621 points, Wakai couldn't help but feel a pain. In order to prevent King Qi from discovering the abnormality of the Wa family, now he dare not use the family luck value easily, which led to the recent Qi luck value ascension speed maintained at 30. It's more than 4 times less than before. Think about it carefully. In case Qi Wang discovers an abnormality, then the Wa family has no way to deal with it. He needs to endure at least until the family has the ability to fight Qi Wang, or Qi Wang himself dies. 6 silver spears were refined in a row to prepare the family for a breakthrough to practice aura in the future. As for how to use the family's luck in the Jixia Academy in the future, Wakai has already figured it out clearly, 1 piece in 3 days. Golden silk soft armor he can be sent to Wahiapu through Wushu. Golden silk soft armor can be put into Wushu's 8 treasure night armor space, but silver spear is too long. After breakfast, Wakai took Wazan and Xiaoqiang to bid farewell to his family and set off on the road to Lindsay City, and Tang Lei accompanied him all the way. Xiaoqiang ran after the horse excitedly. Since knowing that Huakai will take him to school, he has been much better recently. Xiaoqiang is already more than 2 years old, and it probably has the mindset of a human being 7 or 8 years old, and can already understand everyone's words. With Xiaoqiang, everyone rode slowly. It was already in the afternoon in Lindsay City. Huakai entered Lindsay City and walked westward. 20% area. You must know that Lindsay City is one of the largest cities in the world, with a population of more than 400,000. The outer city has a population of at least 250,000. The area of the outer city is not small, but the entire Jixia Academy has only about 2,000 students. School children, teachers and other personnel are no more than 10,000 at most, which shows the status of Jixia Academy in Lindsay City. When he came to the gate of Jixia Academy, Huakai saw that the guards here were all cultivation bases, and couldn't help sighing the luxury of Jixia Academy. When he came to the gate of the academy, the guard saw Wakai and Wazan approaching and stood in front of them. Child, you can't enter here casually, you can leave. Although the doorman said so, his tone was kind. After seeing it, Wakai went forward and gave a student ceremony and said, I am a student who came to Jixia Academy to study this year. I don't know where I need to report. You. Bring your certificate of introduction. The guard obviously didn't believe it. The two children weren't 16 years old at all. The students who can enter Jixia Academy are generally over 18 years old, but Wazan is not yet. By the age of 13, he was obviously not a student. Guangxian Academy. Sage Huakai, are you a holy son? The guard said in surprise after seeing Huakai's letter of introduction. It's all the love of the king. Huakai has to learn hard and needs to study hard. Huakai nodded and admitted. I have seen Saint Sun. The guard stepped back and gave a guard salute to Wakai, which showed that he was willing to give his life to protect Wakai. The guard brought Wakai into the academy while introducing him to the division of the academy. Jixia Academy is divided into study area and residential area. You have to register now to get the school uniform and class schedule. I suggest that you buy a copy of the introductions of all the giants at night, so that you can choose teachers and new students according to your own situation. There is a 1-year study period. After 1 year, you can choose a teacher. Of course, the teacher will also choose the own student. The guard introduced Huakai as he walked. Wakai asked Jixia Academy about some precautions, and the guard would answer all questions. They walked for half an hour to come to a sign-in institution, filled out their information with Wazan, and they took 2 clothes and took a curricular schedule from the teacher. This curriculum schedule details the school's 4 giants and the 97 everyone's start time for next month. Each of them will have a different number of lessons next month. What Huakai has seen most is that they arrange classes every day. Most of the month, 7 to 10 classes are arranged. Some teachers have very few classes. Huakai sees that the 4 giants will only have 1 class next month. Students can choose the courses and teachers they want to take. Wakai probably read the introductions of all the teachers. The 4 giants are Confucian, Mohist, Famous, Yin and Yang. Learned here. Jixia Academy is also amazing. You don't need money to receive things. Classes are all voluntary. Teachers choose at will. Wakai looked at the introduction of Jixia Academy on the other side of the curriculum, and said with emotion. No one of the students who can come here is to waste time. Everyone has carefully designed and arranged own courses, and they don't want to waste a moment. If you choose a teacher next year, if you want to be favored by the teacher, you can do it this year. It's time to behave well, said Dage, the guard. Only then did Huakai know that choosing a course also has such a meaning, which means that next year, it may become a student of everyone and even giants. Of course, there are those who have studied in Jixia Academy for decades without a teacher, and the proportion of such students is very high. Entering the life area, Huakai was attracted by the prosperity here. Rows of shops stand here, and people and students on the street walk by in front of various shops, just like a busy city in the city. It's just that all the shops here are very luxurious, like a palace, and the students' residential area is in the distance. The number of yards here is very large, and the area of each yard is only 3 cents at most, but the buildings inside are very luxurious. All the yards will be surrounded by a garden in the middle, which has rockery, lakes, and pavilions. This design is that dozens of small courtyards share a garden, which is also good. Wakai followed the guard Dage through more than a dozen small courtyards. He saw that this place suddenly became a pavilion courtyard. Each courtyard was a 3-story pavilion, which was much better than the small courtyards. 36%. Chapter 204. Looking at the student accommodation area in front of them, Huakai and Washuan were surprised. Their Genius Courtyard at Guangxian Academy was at best slightly better than the group courtyard, and much worse than this grand courtyard. Haha. The small yards that were surrounded just now were prepared for ordinary colleges. There are a total of 20 large yards in this large yard prepared by Jixia Academy for the master. Now they are full. Hearing what the guard said, Wazan was disappointed. If only they could live here. There, 3 yards. The first is the residence of Tian Zhen Shengji. Tian Zhen Shengji has been invited to the palace by the king, and now it is empty. Huakai Shengji can choose between the first 2, and the third is Yan Ni, the master of the country of Yan, has moved in this morning. The guard took the 2 to the last most luxurious area, where all the houses are built of spirit wood, and there is a thick spiritual qi that has been atomized and floated above the courtyard. The main house as the structure of the palace is nearly 10 meters high, and there are sculptures of beasts on the palace. The 2 people knew that they were going to live here, and Jixia Academy paid more attention to the Saint Son than they expected. The guard said that the Tian Zhen Shengji is the Tian family's master of the Shantian realm who can fight the foundation building. He has studied in Jixia Academy for 60 years. This time he was invited to the palace by the Qi King. I don't know if he survived. The Tian family defected. Perhaps it has something to do with this matter. This Jixia Academy is the sacred land of the students, but it is also a prison of imprisonment. There is also young Master Yan. The son generally refers to the Tianzhao class figure who is expected to be in the foundation building, or the eldest son of a family of 3rd rank and above. Yan can send their son to Qi as a hostage. There must be an alliance between the 2 countries, or Qi also gives Yan. Protons are sent, and protons are exchanged between countries in order to consolidate relations. I chose the middle yard. Is it a bit empty for the 2 of us to live in such a large yard? Above, the lotus flower in the lake is about to bloom, and several small boats are docked on the shore. Shengji and all princes can establish associations. There are more than 30 associations in Jixia Academy. Shengji can learn more about it in the future. If Shengji Hua establishes an association, he can invite other students to live here. Road. Speaking of the 3 of them entering the main hall, they suddenly felt energetic. There was actually a formation in it, and the background of Jixia Academy was much stronger than that of ordinary palaces. Handing the key to Wakai, the doorman Dage bowed to Wakai and resigned. Wazan was playing in the palace excitedly. Stop playing, clean up the main hall, we're going to eat out later. Wakai said. Patriarch, this house is too big. I have never seen such a big and good house. The lamp stands and tea sets are all gold. Wazan said excitedly. We may stay here for a long time in the future. After a long time, we will get used to everything. Hurry up to clean up the house and study the course schedule when we come back in the evening. The 2 probably cleaned up the main hall, which was obviously cleaned frequently, and the bedding was still new. After leaving the courtyard, Washuan locked the door, and the 2 walked towards the busy street in the residential area. When they came to the entrance of a magnificent hotel, there was no shower greeted, and the 2 walked into the lobby on the 1st floor. Hundreds of exquisite foods are placed on silver plates. Many people choose their own foods here. A striking sign in the center of the hall says, "Free on the 1st floor." Here are just the most common meals. All kinds of pasta, meat, steamed bun, desserts, etc. are very complete, but they are not worth a few dollars. In the middle of the hall there is a staircase leading to the 2nd floor, and a small sign below the staircase says, "Charges above the 2nd floor." Wakai took Wazan and walked up the steps. Some students swept their eyes when they saw someone on the 2nd floor. There were still relatively few students who dared to go to the 2nd floor in Jixia Academy. On the 2nd floor, a shop assistant came to them with a smile. The guest officer would like something to eat. Seer Wei Miansheng has a menu here, or check it out first. Although the guy smiled, he was obviously afraid that the 2 would not have money. Let me see. Wakai is not a person who likes to look for things. He took over a simple animal skin menu. The menu is made of wild animal skins. Introduction of patterns and dishes. What catches the eye is a signature dish called Golden Fish Leaping Dragon Gate. The goldfish used belongs to the 3rd rank spirit fish, and the price says a large 1666 gold. This dish actually uses a lot of gold, which is simply appalling. Looking at the ingredients used, Huakai will understand that this 2nd floor is already a spiritual meal, and all dishes are made with spiritual objects, and the price is reasonable. Looking at the dishes at the back, the prices were mostly above 100 gold. He also saw that there was a kind of spirit tea called Yangchun tea. A small pot produced by Keepan Lingshu cost 200 gold. Just try your Golden Fish Leaping Dragon Gate, and you look at helping us choose 3 more dishes, and come to a pot of Yangchun tea. Huakai handed the menu to Huakai. Okay, guest officer, please wait a moment. The signature dish Golden Fish Leaping Dragon Gate is 1, and the fruit will be delivered right away. The store clerk shouted, and the whole restaurant could hear it clearly. There was only a private room on the second floor. As soon as the two entered and sat down, someone served exquisite fruits and snacks. Huakai tasted it and it was very good. At this time, Wakai heard someone coming up on the second floor. The other person walked past the door of the private room. He saw that the other person was about the same age as him. He looked like Buffon in brocade and jade. The key was that he was also carrying two beautiful maids. That's weird. After waiting for more than 2 hours, it was dark before the dishes came up. Huakai tasted it 100 times better than Wahiabao restaurant. The key is that every bite you can feel the spiritual chi enter your body. It's no wonder that many great families can enter the pneumatic realm after they are 16 years old. Generally, they can hit the chi training realm at the age of 18, and enter the Shantian realm at the age of 25. As long as they eat these spiritual foods occasionally, they can widen the gap with most young people. After eating a spiritual meal, Wakai hiccups, and Wazan is still eating. Although the second floor spiritual meal is expensive, the amount is quite large. At first, they ate too much fruit, and the two of them couldn't eat it anymore. If you can't eat it, take it back, Wakai said to Wazan. Patriarch, I feel that I am about to break through, let me take a few more bites. Wazan said vaguely as he ate. Wakai ignored him when he was like this, and asked the clerk to come over and pay the bill. I ate nearly 3,000 gold for a meal, but it was worth the price. Wakai felt that his strength was a sign of breakthrough. I don't know what the food on the third floor is like. I just saw that the road on the third floor is blocked. Wakai asked the guy on the side after closing the bill. Back to the little son. You must book in advance to go up to the third floor. The dishes are also matched by our restaurant. If you want to make a reservation, I will take you to see what high-end spiritual meals can be made next month. Dude listened to Huakai, said, hurriedly smiled and stepped forward and said, okay, I'll take a look first. Wazan, let someone pack it back and eat it slowly. Wakai finished speaking and followed his buddy out. In fact, the effect of Lingzan is similar to that of medicine pill, but compared with medicine pill, the effect is not as strong and lasting. The advantage is that it is absorbed quickly and does not need to remove erysipelas. The status of a chef who can make spiritual food is equivalent to that of a pill refining teacher. The guy checked Huakai's list of high-level spiritual foods that could be made next month. Wakai saw that most of them are 4th-rank spiritual objects, and he even found some 6th-rank materials and spiritual quenching. Not worse than Baodin. Forget it, let's come together when Wamo and Shui Chen come. Wakai saw that a dish would cost at least about 10,000 gold. This is good to experience once in a while, and the effect of regular eating will become weaker. It is worthwhile to wait for more students from the Chinese family to try it out in the future. After leaving the restaurant, Washuan was cautiously carrying a basket of leftovers. The two returned to the gate of the compound where they lived and saw a group of more than 30 people waiting outside. Excuse me, you are all Shengji Huakai. I am Meng Yunfei, the president of the Three Kingdoms Society. A man in his 30s stepped forward to salute. Wakai checked his aptitudes. Cultivation base has reached the 6th floor of the Qi cultivation realm. This is already a Tianjiao level figure. I've seen you all. I am Huakai. I don't know if you have anything to do with me. Huakai stepped forward and said, I have seen Saint Sun. Meng Yunfei took the lead in giving gifts to Wakaishi students. You don't have to be like this. Wamo can't afford such a great gift. Wakai is already a little unhappy. Even if he has the status of a holy son, he can't afford this gentleman's gift. No wonder the son. We are all readers of Three Kingdoms. Today I heard that the son has entered the Jixia Academy to visit. I hope that the son can join us in the Three Kingdoms Society. Meng Yunfei said. Wakai checked their attributes. Most of this group of people were students of novelists, and 3 of them were students of novelists. As the masters of novels, they did the same as teachers and students. So, let's go to the hospital for a chat first. Huakai asked Washuan to open the courtyard door and take everyone into the courtyard. Many of them entered the 3 main courtyards for the first time. Curiously looking around, they felt the strong spiritual chi here. The look in Wakai's eyes changed. When he came to the Great Hall, Huakai asked Washuan to pour tea for everyone. He was curious about how he did not arrive at Jixia Academy in the afternoon. Shengji, there is a stone slab in the teaching area, which has been left in the Jixia Academy 1,000 years ago. Whenever the occupants of the 3 sacred yards and the 20 sacred yards change, it can be displayed for the first time. Meng Yun flew to Huakai and said. Huakai understands this. Although Jixia Academy does not require examinations and never forces students to study, no one who can come here is a genius. Huakai sees all the well-mannered students in front of him. The minimum qualifications are level B or above, which can be cultivated as a core in any family. 36%. Number 205 Chapter 205. Huakai talked with Meng Yunfei and others for more than an hour. The night was getting deeper, and everyone got up and said goodbye. Shengji, the 10 university novelists of Jixia Academy are the weakest group, and you are the person who is most likely to become a novelist giant in the future. 3 kingdoms has now spread to the Central Plains countries. As long as you build a new one, I believe that many people are willing to join the novel society. This is also beneficial to you. Meng Yun flew out of the gate of Shengjiyuan and said back to Huakai. I will consider your suggestion, but I just arrived at Jixia Academy, and I will wait for a while to talk about everything. Thank you for your suggestion. Huakai said thankfully. When everyone left, Huakai saw Huazhan's face flushed behind him, and he checked his attributes that he had broken through to the first level of the Kaiyuan realm. Today's spiritual food has a great effect on him, saving him at least 1 month of hard training. Recalling Meng Yunfei's performance today, Huakai felt that the other party was over-enthusiastic. Although he is a saint's son and a master of novels, the Hua family is after all a small 9th-grade family, not even a Shantian realm. The Meng family is one of the 3 third-rank families in Lindsay City, and like the Qi family and Tian family, it is an established family of large families. One word can determine the rise and fall of the Hua family. I heard that the 3 Kingdoms Society he established was only established not long ago. Today, with so many students, it seems to be building momentum for Huakai. But what good is this for him and the Meng family? Huakai suddenly thought of the saint's son of the Tian family in number 1 Saint Child Yard. The Meng family used to closely follow the Tian family's steps. Now he deliberately approached him and his purpose was very clear. This Meng family is also expressing its stance to the Qi family. In the early morning of April 1st, Huazhan went out early to bring Huakai breakfast. The best thing about Jixia Academy was that all the food was not cost-effective. Huakai felt refreshed, and he felt ascension in his vigor, so he opened his attribute panel. Huakai, 9th floor of Kaiyuan realm. Qualification, B. Physique, 31. Strength, 37. Will, 49. Novelist, everyone. Confucianism, student. Taoism, student. Mohist school, student. Mind method novelist. The basic skills of copywriting. The low-level mental method of heaven is great. Mind method. Meditation tactics. Low-level mental methods. Great perfection. Marksmanship. Split air spear. Advanced marksmanship of the mysterious stage. Zochin. Saber technique. Great wind 18 knives. Yellow rank. Advanced saber technique. Dot. Special mind method. Introduction to the idea of big dream view. God level. Special skill. Real eye cannot be upgraded. His attributes have surpassed the limit of Kaiyuan realm, and he can enter the pneumatic realm at any time if he wants to. After washing and eating breakfast, he took Huazhan and Xiaoqiang to the teaching area. When he came to the outside of the teaching area, he saw a huge stone wall. Huakai's name was written on the top, and his basic information description was next to it. Compared with him, the information of the son of Yanguo is much worse than that of him. At the age of 16, the 6th floor of the Kaiyuan realm is not prominent in the Jixia Academy, and the Baijia of Zuzi is only a Confucian student, closely behind him. Then the following are the names of the 20 college boys. Meng Yunfei ranked 16th on the list of boys. Huakai took a closer look at the top boys. Several of them are the names of multiple students, which is the same as Huazichan today. Compared to only strong but not weak. Patriarch, where are we going? Huazhan asked after Huakai. Of course, let's listen to the Giants lecture first. There is a famous Giants lecture this morning, it is a rare opportunity. Huakai said. There are 4 Giants on the course schedule of Jixia Academy, and there is only 1 class this month. The Giants are equivalent to the foundation building environment. It is not easy to listen to the lectures in the foundation building environment. Following the signs instructed Huakai to arrive outside a palace, he saw hundreds of students queuing here. All the famous students stand in the forefront, the famous students stand in the middle, and the other students are behind. The saints and the young masters can stand in front. A famous student organized discipline outside the palace, and everyone lined up as required. Many of the people who can come here are to apprentice to the giants. Of course, these famous students are the first choice of the giants, and they can learn more from the front. Hearing Hua Kai walking forward with Hua Zan and Xiao Qiang, the famous student stepped forward and asked his identity, keeping his eyes on Xiao Qiang. Shengji, this spirit beast is very good. The teacher is about to start speaking. Please wait in the front line, said the famous student. Only then did Hua Kai know that the other party turned out to be the official apprentice of a giant. The biggest advantage of becoming a giant and everyone's apprentice is that they don't need to start classes, they can ask for advice at will, and his qualifications to become a giant student are very good. Finally, when the Great Hall door opened, Hua Kai followed a group of famous students into the Great Hall. There were some small stools neatly placed in front of him. He found a side position to sit down, Hua Zan sat behind him, and Xiao Qiang lay down beside him. Hua Kai saw the kind-faced old people in front of him watching quietly, and he felt the strength of the opponent. There is Tao first, and then there is reason. Karma is inseparable from the word Tao. It rises in the east and falls in the west. To summarize these laws is what every good scholar must do, and to be able to apply these laws to oneself. This famous giant seems to be very old. Although his voice is not loud, it can clearly reach everyone's ears. Hua Kai listened carefully to what the giant said, and he nodded lightly from time to time. The rumor that famous artists are eloquent is their modest summary. The giant didn't tell everyone to summarize, but only told everyone to learn the way of observation. This is deeply impressed by Hua Kai. All the students listened quietly. Some famous students in front of them seemed to have sentiment, with happy smiles on their faces. An hour later, the giant stopped his lectures and asked everyone if they didn't understand anything. Those famous scholars who have not yet started learning, just feel that the giant clauses and sentences are truth. According to the method of the giant, they will be able to get ascension soon, and they can't ask any questions. And the giant said these words are actually heard by the most famous students in the front. Several students heard this here and asked about the problems that appeared in the study. Although everyone did not encounter such problems, they also benefited from hearing the giant's answers. A lot. After all the questions were almost asked, the giant left his seat and went to rest in the apse. All the questions raised at this time could be easily answered by the famous students. After half an hour of discussion, the giant returned to continue the class. Next, the giant told a few classic cases, telling everyone how to analyze the problem from the perspective of famous scholars. He also specially taught the story of White Horse is Not a Horse, and everyone was fascinated by it. After the story was finished, the giant began to explain some of the problems encountered in the mind of the famous master and martial skill. He explained the essence of the master's thought from the shallower to the deeper. When the giant got up and said that get out of class was over, all the students got up and saluted the teacher together. When the giant left, many people still reluctant to give up, seeming to be immersed in the ocean of knowledge just now. Patriarch, what the old gentleman said is really good. I will be a famous student in the future, and I will cultivate hard after I go back and try to be accepted as a disciple by my husband. Hua Zan said excitedly when he saw Hua Kai. Then you should first comprehend the mind of the famous masters before talking. Hua Kai got up and said with a smile. The thoughts of the philosophers have their own unique charm, especially among everyone. As long as you are immersed in it, you can't extricate yourself. But it is an art for giants to give lectures. The truths they tell people are very simple and clear, but if you tell you from the perspective of deep thinking, you will find that there is such a truth in this little story. The first time I listened to a giant lecture, I learned a lot. Hua Kai closed the door and went to sleep after returning to number 2 Shengjiuan. He had to remember several times in his dream while he had just finished the class, so that the effect would be better. After Hua Zan came back, he hid himself in the house and started to study hard. When the giant talked about it, many people had a feeling that the teacher said it very clearly and simply. Famous students must be easy. But all this is just an illusion. The giants are telling about their understanding of the truth. Without a certain accumulation of knowledge, you will not be able to break through even if you have a high level of understanding. Hua Kai woke up from his dream 2 hours later. Just now, he recalled that the giant in the classroom told him more than 10 times. He felt that he was only one step away from getting started, but he couldn't take this step. In the afternoon, Hua Kai checked the curriculum schedule, and saw that there were 4 famous masters who had lessons. He chose the one with the oldest qualifications to attend the class. He returned to the big dream in the afternoon and continued to study until he opened his eyes again. At that time, I found myself finally becoming a famous student. Although the breakthrough, Wakai deeply felt that his knowledge accumulation was insufficient, and he had only superficial principles to explain in his mind. In order to ascension from Confucianism, Taoism, Mohism, and famous scholars to the student realm, he must make every effort to accumulate the knowledge. Aspect knowledge. Being able to become a novelist is entirely the reason why Wakai stole the knowledge from his previous life. If he wants to become a giant, he needs to integrate his own perception and accumulation of the world into it. So now it is difficult for himself to enter the foundation building realm. Promoted to a giant. Thinking of this, Wakai originally wanted to start a club in Jixia Academy, so he gave up. He has the great dream view idea God level special mental method, and it is entirely possible to learn all the academics of Jixia Academy within a few years. Thoroughly, by the time he has accumulated enough, even if it is only B qualification, he will have the confidence to rely on the family's gathering of spirits to advance to the Shantian realm. Only by showing strong learning ability in Jixia Academy can the Wa family be more secure. Although it looks good in the short term to make friends with those students from aristocratic families in Jixia Academy, the core of the influence of the Wa family is still in himself. So in the afternoon, Wakai spent money to buy a lot of hundreds of masterpieces. What he lacks the most now is the basics. After all, the basics are almost the same. It will be much easier for him to go back and learn about the ideas of the hundreds. In this way, Huakai finds the strongest teachers to attend classes every morning and afternoon. After returning home to dream of cultivation, and studying hundreds of masterpieces in the evening, life is busy and fulfilling. 36%. Chapter 206 September. On April 28, Hua Zichen had already arrived in Chufu city of Lu State for almost 2 months. The whole city of Chufu already knew that the father-in-law of his country had married Qi Guodianzhao, and everyone was very happy about it. Hua Zichen, Yu Jun and others are boringly practicing martial arts in the official residence, and the palace servants came to spread the word. On the first day of May, the Lu Palace held a feast to see Princess Ji off, and the Lu family would come to congratulate them. Hua Zichen also received a gift list from Wang Lu. Fifth Lord, we have sent it. Qing Jirtai yelled happily, looking at Princess Ji Li's dowry on the gift list. In addition to the 20,000 gold return gift, there were 100 pairs of armor, 10 books, 100 elite guards, 300 court maids, and 1,000 craftsmen. The artisans are all with their families, and the total number is more than 3,000. The gift list says that craftsmen can't make mistakes. What the Wahia lacks most today is all kinds of craftsmen, which is more useful than giving the Wahia 100,000 gold. The armors are all fish-scale armors, heavy armors worn only above the aerodynamic level. Each pair is worth 100 gold. Of course, the booklet and 10 carts are bamboo slips. This dowry is no worse than Hua Zichen's Nijung courtesy. In the early morning of May 1st, Prince Lu had sent all the dowry of Princess Ji Li to the official post. The Chinese people began to organize the carriages. When the banquet is finished today, they will take Princess Ji Li home. Hua Zichen entered the Lu Palace again and did not encounter any difficulties until the end of the banquet. Princess Ji Li wore a red wedding gown and followed him with happiness. All the Lu family sent blessings to them. Afternoon, the Wahia sedan chair slowly lifted to the gate of the Lu Palace. At this time, the main door slowly opened. Several court ladies surrounded Princess Ji Li with a hijab and entered the sedan chair. Lu Wang took the queen and waited for Ji in the palace. Princess Li sees off. Outside the palace gate, thousands of people from the state of Lu gave Princess Ji Li off. Princess Ji Li will probably never come back this time. They all sent the princess their last blessings. Hua Zichen Babao knight name armor wearing a red welcoming suit, rode Tianlongju to the sedan chair. The sedan chair was slowly lifted, and 100 palace guards followed closely behind the sedan chair and waited for the official in the stack area. The wedding welcoming team and more than 1,000 Chufu city dowry craftsmen brought their family members, carrying large bags and small bags on their bodies, and were leaving behind the entire welcoming team. The fact that the Hua family in Guangxian County married Princess Lu began to spread in Qi, and many families began to know that Fahrenheit paper was invented by the Hua family. As Hua Zichen took Princess Ji Li back to Guangxian County, Wahiabao added 1,000 skilled craftsmen, and the family construction began to speed up. Guangxian Wafu and Wahiabao looked the same every day. The number of homeless people rushing to Guangxian from other counties began to increase, and the population of all villages outside Guangxian began to grow. Especially in the villages outside Wahiabao, the population of some large villages has already caught up with the original 7 villages, and the prestige of Wahia has begun to grow. In September, all the students in the Jixia Academy were discussing 3 things. The first thing is this year's drought. Qi State received the rain from last autumn. Many farmlands in the city have been cracked. There is no water from the 100-meter deep wells, and many rivers that have not dried up have become people's disputes. The target of looting, people in Lindsay City are already preparing to flee the famine with their families. The second thing is the report of the grassland countries invading the Central Plains. There were about 350,000 prairie cavalry who invaded the Central Plains from the northern border of Qin State. Qin State slowly retreated in a stalemate with the prairie countries. Now the northern border defense line of Qin State has retreated more than 200 miles. Compared with Qin State, Yan State's performance is much worse. The country of Yan was invaded by 120,000 troops such as Donghu, but most of the northern counties have fallen into the hands of the enemy in half a year. As the country of Yan entered the neighbors, the country of Qi had to help at this time. The king of Qi has issued a new convening order, but this summoning order is somewhat special. Summoning order, it is only for all the 7th rank aristocratic families and above, and all other families are not being recruited. Many practitioners said in private that this was because King Qi was approaching his life and was weakening the strength of various families. Hua Kai got news from the 5th uncle, and the Hua family also received a convening order. This time King Qi only recruited combat powers above the Zhochen realm. Hua Zichen was also recruited, and only Hua Zichen was recruited in the entire Guangxian city. This third matter is related to Hua Kai. Hua Kai only spent more than 5 months learning all the academic theories that Jixia Academy could learn, and he was introduced to all 49 thoughts. This set the record for the most subjects studied in Jixia Academy, and no one has ever doubted the name of the son of Hua Kai. In fact, there are too many thoughts and concepts to learn, and it doesn't matter much. The more you learn about theories of the 100 schools of thought, there are overlaps in the thoughts. It is still more difficult for Hua Kai to learn the thoughts of the 100 schools at the beginning. After the FA, he felt that he understood the mind FA faster. In fact, this did not increase him much strength, but after learning all the thoughts of 100 schools, Hua Kai's theoretical foundation is already very solid, and it will be easy for him to ask for Ascension's various theories and realm. Legend has it that sage had to learn from various theories before he became holy. At the very least, Hua Kai's theory is unmatched in Jixia Academy. At the age of 15, all academic thoughts were introductory, which made him more and more famous in Jixia Academy. A few days ago, Hua Kai just received the news that his grandfather was leading the Wahia caravan to go home, so he wrote a leave letter to the Qi Palace. Unexpectedly, he got a reply in just 1 day, agreeing to Hua Kai to go home and visit relatives for 2 months. Coming out of Jixia Academy, Hua Kai once again saw Lindsay City, which was very different from the prosperous scene he saw half a year ago. The common people walked feebly on the street one by one. There were no hundreds of people standing in line to fetch water with ladle beside a water well. There were not a few people in the restaurants or tea houses. Some ordinary people are carrying large bags and small bags, planning to leave Lindsay City. All of them look yellow and thin, and they probably haven't eaten enough for a long time. Out of Chongqing, Jirtai took more than 30 Chinese cavalry, waiting for them at the gate of the city. The woods outside the city are all withered and yellow, and there is not much green on the ground. Some people lie on the wild grass looking for food. For these Hua Kai, the heart is very heavy. Lindsay City, but the capital of Qi State, has reached such a point, then other places can be imagined. He finally knew why King Qi only summoned the power above the pneumatic realm Zhochen to go to Yan State to support it, because Qi State no longer had the ability to summon too many troops. Hua Kai only hoped that the state of Yan could block Donghu's attack, otherwise waiting for the prairie cavalry to enter the state of Qi, the consequences would be disastrous. Riding on Lu Ma, although Lu Ma had not seen Hua Kai for half a year, he still did not forget him and jumped around excitedly. All the way back to Wahiapu, Hua Kai saw a long queue of refugees outside Wahiapu. The 4 large tanks in the front porridge shed were cooking porridge, and all the refugees were holding bowls and waiting for the porridge. After returning home, Zhang Hua Kai saw that he hadn't come back for half a year. Wahiabao had completely changed its appearance. There were many lively people everywhere in the commercial area. Tea houses, restaurants seemed to be a different world from the outside of the village. The road entering the inner village has also become smooth. Public toilets, gardens, and small squares can be seen everywhere. Everyone in the Hua family greeted Hua Kai happily. Hua Kai found his third uncle, Hua Ziji, who is now in charge of Huahiapu. K, you are back. How long can you stay home this time? Hua Ziji knew that Hua Kai would be back soon. 2 months. How is the house recently? Is there enough water? Hua Kai is most worried about this. Fortunately, we made preparations early. There are more than 10 wells in the village. Although the wells are deep, they are still enough for drinking. If we continue to do this, we will be affected by the spiritual rice at home. I don't know when the weather is hot. Rain, Hua Zijisho said. What about the food? Hua Kai asked. There are still 80,000 shi of food. Today, our food shops in the city limit the purchase of 1 caddy a day. There are more and more victims outside the village in the past few days, and our affiliated villages are all unable to carry it now. Now we have 4 per day. It's too late to cook porridge at the same time, and more victims. Hua Ziji said. To go south from Lindsay City, you must pass through Guangxian County. Therefore, there are so many victims at the gate of Huahiapu. Generally, a large tank consumes 1 stone of food a day, and 4 large tanks cost 800 kilograms of food a day. Rescue about 4,000 victims. Of course, this porridge can only guarantee that they will not starve to death in the Huahiapu area. Only after drinking the porridge can they have the strength to continue their journey south to find a way out. The victims give a bite to the door. This is a custom that has been handed down in the Central Plains. If you give it to them, you will leave. If you don't give it, you will consume it. If you are extremely hungry, they will stay and cause damage. Continue to increase the number of porridge pots in the afternoon. Add 6 more large pots. Hua Kai thought for a while and said that Wahia's food is still enough to support. K, this porridge can't be disorderly. If we increase the number of porridge, it is very likely that the nearby refugees will come over. If they eat the porridge and don't leave, we can't keep them. Now our family has a population of more than 8,000. In addition to the affiliated villages and affiliated forces such as the Huang family and the Zheng family, it is necessary to support more than 15,000 people, and our family's food will only be enough for 2.5 years. Hua Ziji couldn't help but remind. Those who should be saved are still saved. Nowadays, more and more people are fleeing south in Lindsay City, and even some families have moved south. But I heard that many countries in the south are more severely affected than we are. We'll come back, now we give a bowl of porridge, they will be more motivated to go home when they can't survive. Hua Kai sighed after speaking, and after the drought passed, Zongyuan didn't know how many people were left. Hua Ziji also sighed deeply, and then the two discussed the expansion of Huahiapu. The expansion of the home has already been carried out for more than half of the time. Next year, all the projects will be basically completed. The original plan for 20,000 gold can be completed. Up to now, it has cost $30,000. There is still a half of the project, but now workers are getting easier and easier to find. I believe the speed can be faster in the future. 36%. Chapter 207. The severity of this year's drought exceeded everyone's imagination, and the entire Qi country's grain output fell by more than 70%. In addition, Qi is not a big producer, and the food coming from southern China this year is less than 10% last year. This makes Qi famine inevitable. Aristocratic families generally have the habit of storing food, and their survival generally does not cause any problems. In fact, the most common people are the ones who suffer in the end, and most common families follow the disaster. If it doesn't rain until the beginning of spring next year, then Qi will probably be in chaos by the end of next year. Huahiapu must make a plan to stick to the village. Don't let people get close to the granary easily. The home must be arrested for protection and patrols. I heard that Bashu and other places were not troubled by drought. I plan to go to Shu to see if I can buy food. Quote. When the Chinese family's current grains wait for the slaves to return this year, they can only barely have enough for themselves and their affiliated families. If the entire Guangxian city is not chaotic, the grain shops in the city cannot be stopped, and the pace of the construction of Washington cannot be stopped. This way, most ordinary people. There is a source of food. In the past 6 months, the affiliated families of the Hua family have slowly taken in some refugees to enhance their own strength. Even if they know that they are not enough food, they will still take them in when they see that some people cannot help. Environment family. As the drought becomes more and more serious and the number of victims is increasing, if there is enough food at that time, whether it is the Chinese family or the affiliated forces and allies, the strength will not be weakened, but will be strengthened. However, it is very difficult to go to the kingdom of Shu. From ancient times to the present, there has been a saying that the road to Shu is difficult, and it is difficult to go to the blue sky. Generally, even the Shantian realm may not be able to pass safely. It is impossible to transport grain from Shu, but Huakai does not have to worry about transporting grain. Informed the branch of the Chamber of Commerce of the Four Seas where Wahiabao was located, that he would have to help the Chamber of Commerce of the Four Seas if he wanted to go to Shu this time. In the afternoon, Huakai came to Guangxian City. Everything here seemed to be pretty good. Wahia Food Shop had 2,000 caddies of low-priced food every day. Although it cannot guarantee that everyone in the city will have food, it can let the people in the city see a glimmer of hope. As for arousing too much public outrage, entering Guangxian City, many shops on the street have been closed. Only the human city and livestock market are still lively. Wahia Restaurant is still under construction. As a landmark building in Guangxian City in the future, it will not be completed in 2 or 3 years. Many families in the inner city have already closed their doors. They already know the seriousness of the next disaster, so they plan to stay behind closed doors. For large families and aristocratic families, the most dangerous thing for a major drought is not to be hungry, but to looting by the hungry victims. Huakai returned to Washington and saw that there were construction sites everywhere. The whole Washington saw ordinary people working hard. This year, the Wah family only took care of 1 meal, plus 2 caddies of rice. This is the slum common people. Squeeze his head to come to work in China. Huakai probably took a look at the number of busy workers here, which is close to 10,000, which is a very terrifying number. After being married, Princess Jila stayed in Wufu, the city of Guangxian, so that the families of craftsmen, guards, and court ladies also stayed. The population of Washington has exceeded 5,000, which makes Washington now occupy about half of the population of Guangxian. The Wah family, together with the families of the people working in the government, and various affiliated forces, about 70% of the population in Guangxian County rely on Wah family life, plus all the villages outside the city belong to the Wah family power, and the Wah family in the entire Guangxian area actually controls the population has exceeded 80%, which is not good news. If the Guangxian Commercial Group returns this year, there will be tens of thousands of slaves. The Wah family in Guangxian will be responsible for feeding nearly 40,000 people. It seems that this trip to the kingdom of Shu has to go. Now the food at home may not be enough for a year, and the plan can't keep up with the changes. Wah Kai sighed. Back in Washington, Wah Kai saw Wu Shu and Wufu's butler, and talked about the current consumption of food at home. At this rate, the food at home will be exhausted in about a year. It is urgent to solve the food problem, otherwise it will only being able to give up some affiliated forces. The Wah family would never do that as a last resort. Uncle Wu, Grandpa Fu. As long as we survive this time, more than 90% of the entire Guangxian city will depend on us. Even if the Han family is the ruler of Guangxian, this Guangxian city already belongs to the Wah family. It is also the time to expand the strength of our affiliated family. The problem is that we have a relatively large food gap. Wah Kai sat with the two to discuss the development of the family. The family development manual left by Huakai was strictly implemented, but although this method was effective, it was beyond expectation. It was too food-consuming. Who would have thought that the drought would be so severe this year? Your grandfather will be back in about 10 days. This time we brought back more than 6,000 slaves. The caravans in Guangxian also brought many slaves. If it doesn't work, we can only limit food consumption. Hua Zichen reminded Huakai. Most counties and counties in Qi have already had refugees. Only our Guangxian is okay. If we restrict the food supply, this Guangxian town will definitely be in chaos. Wu Fu said with a sigh. Nowadays, the only places where you can buy food are in Bashu and Nanyu countries. Some big families must have thought of going to these places to buy food, but even if they have space to store their goods, they are certainly not easy to use. Let's go now. It should not be too late to buy food. I have already contacted the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce. When they get news, I plan to go to Shu country. Uncle Wu, you will go with me when you come. Quote. After Huakai finished speaking, Hua Zichen nodded. If the catastrophe is dealt with well, Wahia's growth rate will accelerate several times. Wahia originally needed a 5 to 10 year development plan, and now it may be completed in 3 years. What Huakai did not expect was that the next day the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce sent a responsible person to Washington to tell Huakai that although there was a drought in Shuzhong this year, it was not serious. Today, the increase in food prices is only 20%. If Wahia can solve it by itself, the problem of transportation, the purchase of million stones of grain is not a problem. Huakai couldn't help but feel excited. Why could the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce spread the news so quickly? It must have its own special method of information transmission. He asked the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce to help Wahia buy food as much as possible, no matter what the price of the food is less than doubled. Acquisition. All the wood, labor, management, maintenance, transportation and other expenses used by the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce to build the granary for Wahia are paid by Wahia itself. After Huakai knew this incident, the world would definitely know that the Wa family had large storage treasures, but this was not necessarily a disadvantage for the Wa family. The Wa family is now at a time when their strength is advancing by leaps and bounds, and this catastrophe may be able to help them confident of some of the attention of the family. Now if the Wa family can get food, the drought will pass 3 to 5 years later, and the Wa family will be confident that they will not be afraid of any family below the 6th rank. Huakai asked Wafu Butler to send 100,000 gold to the Chamber of Commerce of the Four Seas, telling them that they must purchase all the grains in place at the latest 1 month, and make a funnel according to the drawings drawn by Huakai, and when he goes, just put the grains in. Baoguang glass bottle. On September 2nd, Wakai and Hua Zichen set off. This will be the farthest place they have traveled. From the city of Guangxian to the kingdom of Shu, it has traveled thousands of miles and crossed the Qinling Mountains, the barrier of natural danger. 800 miles around the Qinling Mountains, even birds can't fly past dangerous places. In the erudite class, the most demonic beasts mentioned by the gentleman are in the Qinling Mountains, so those who can cross the Qinling Mountains are respected brave men. According to the current record, the chance of surviving through the Qinling Mountains is only about 30%. Hua Kai rode Lu and Hua Zichen rode Tianlongju, both of whom were Shenzhou all the way to the west. It took a long time to reach Acheng. The nearest road to Shu Kingdom had to cross Mount Tai County. When he arrived in Acheng, Huakai had to visit Yao Mansion. He told everyone in Yao Mansion that Patriarch Yao would be back on September 10th. There were basically no casualties in the Yao family caravan this year. Everyone in the Yao family was very happy to hear about this. Some family members have already gone to worship incense to their ancestors. They asked the owner, who has been over 100 years old, to go to the grassland for business. The Yao family has reached an extraordinary period, so successful business is right for them. It makes a lot of sense. After lunch, I came out of Acheng. Huakai and Hua Zichen continued to ride west. The Shenzhou is different from ordinary horses. It can easily jump more than 10 steps. The hillside is several meters high without detours. Huakai rode on it. Lu immediately felt more exciting than riding a roller coaster, but they had walked more than 300 miles of mountain road in one afternoon, but the two horses were not weak at all. At night, the two of them go to sleep in the tent, and there is no need to leave anyone on guard at all. As a spirit beast, Tianlongju has a much stronger sense of smell than human beings. It will deal with small troubles by itself, and will call Hua Zichen for help when it comes to big troubles. The two woke up the next day and fed the two magical horses with concentrated feed prepared with spiritual herbs. The two magical horses ate more than 40 catties before they stopped. Among them, the Tianlong horse ate them. More than 30 catties. Continuing on their way, they saw Tang Lei's village in the afternoon of the next day, but now only half of the population remained on the cliff, and the others had been taken to Wahiapu by Tang Lei. At noon, they just took a break to add some fine ingredients to the horses. By the fourth day, they had already left the mountain, and the road in front of them finally became smooth. Tianlongju carrying Hua Zichen on foot, Luma and Huakai are relatively thin and fast. They can travel more than 100 miles per hour at most, and they can walk more than 1,000 miles a day. They are veritable mountain gods. Colt. Leaving Mount Tai Road at a fast speed, the two passed through Zhao, passing through dozens of countries including Wei, Lu, Wei, Zheng, and Zhou, and finally entered the south of Qin. It took 14 days for the two of them to travel more than 9,000 miles along the way. When they entered the Qinling Mountains, Wakai was startled by the road in front of them. I saw some man-made stone steps on the cliff a few meters high in front of him. If you accidentally slide this stone step from the top, you will be seriously injured. Compared with this, the mountain road in Mount Tai County is not too easy. 37%. Chapter 208. K. You have to believe your mount. It is not an ordinary horse, it is a magic horse, everything is left to it. Hua Zichen comforted Hua Kai as he looked at the difficult mountain road in front of him. Kai nodded. The strength of Luma that he had experienced in the family secret realm space, and his cooperation with it completely reduced Luma's performance. Luma's strength is much stronger than him, and Kai clung to the saddle and waited for the horse to play. I saw Tianlongju taking the lead. It spotted the mountain road ahead and rushed up. A few jumps were tens of meters. This mountain road did not cause any obstacle to it. Kai was worried that if Tianlongju climbed the cliff, it would only seeing him dashing across the cliff. The horse's hoof fell on the cliff and a barrier flashed under its hoof. Tianlongju carried Zichen with a weight of nearly 300 kilograms and salutes, climbing on the cliff. As if walking on the ground. Lu followed closely and climbed more than 1,000 meters. Kai saw that Lu was already sweating, and it began to gasp. Tianlongju found a big rock that could stop and jumped up. Luma was also tight. Keep up. Just now, it was 10 minutes to rush over the cliff, making Kai unable to walk for an hour by himself. After a short break for 10 minutes, he continued on the road. For the first time, Kai experienced the power of the horse, and the mountains and obstacles were flat on the ground in front of them. This is not bragging. Fortunately, the Kindling Mountains do not always need to climb over the cliffs. After all, this kind of dangerous road is one of the few. When they reached the flat land, the speed of Shenju increased significantly. After walking for 4 days in a row, they had already traveled thousands of miles, but only then did they enter slowly. The depths of the Kindling Mountains. 8 Baili Qinchuan has finally seen it. If most people can walk to Bashu in a year, it's not bad, and there are savage beasts pouring out here. Kai and Zichen stopped to rest and couldn't help but say to Zichen. This should have only entered the depths of the Kindling Mountains. We must pass quickly for the next 1,000 miles. We quickly enter the space to escape when we find that something is wrong. There are a lot of demonic beasts here. We must be especially vigilant. Zichen said to Kai. Yesterday they saw demonic beasts, but that demonic beasts was not fast and did not catch up with the speed of the gods. Today they saw a giant eagle, hiding quietly behind the woods and did not arouse the others' idea. Ordinary savage beasts can't keep up with the speed of Shenju. In case of danger, it is Zichen who is solving it. Kai just sits on the back of Luma, letting him continue to run with himself. At noon, they said to beware of demonic beasts. In the afternoon, they stayed in a mountain stream and saw a huge tapir bear, which belongs to the overlord level of demonic beasts. Zichen saw that the other party seemed to have discovered them and rode the Tianlong horse after entering the family secret realm space. Kai hurriedly hid when seeing this place. Each of the 3 trial spaces can only enter one person at a time. Zichen enters the physical training secret realm, and Kai enters the strength training secret realm. Seeing that Luma was already sweating, Kai hurriedly left the space. He saw that Uncle Wu had not come out, so he hid under a big tree and waited quietly. It's hard to find wild beasts if they don't move. Last year's wolf plague also had a great impact on the Kindling Mountains. The number of common wild beasts has dropped sharply, and the number of wild beasts has also decreased a lot. This makes it more difficult for demonic beasts to hunt food. For adventurers crossing the Kindling Mountains, this is a good thing. After half an hour, Kai saw the 5th uncle coming out of the family secret realm space, and the 2 of them avoided danger under the big tree and fed the god horse with fine ingredients. The tapir bear just now seemed to have at least the strength of the intermediate demonic beasts, that is, the strength of the 7 great powers of the Central Plains. Demonic beasts did not dare to come to the place it passed in a short time, which made the journey of the 2 people a lot easier. In this way, the 2 rely on Shenju's speed to drive through the Kindling Mountains for more than 10 hours a day. At night, they can take a good rest without having to watch the night, and Shenju can eat grass by himself when resting. When encountering a strong crisis, the 2 people hid in the family secret realm space. By September 23rd, they had already left the Kindling Mountains, and the mountains in front of them finally became scarce. The scenery here when entering Pakistan is indeed quite different from that of the Central Plains. Compared with all parts of the Central Plains, there are many mountains and waters here. Many cities are built on the water. The urban water conservancy construction basically has a scale. When Kai saw Wudu City, the people were working the city is repairing the river, and the people in the city are busy harvesting rice. Although the drought here is severe, but relying on the big river to be diligent and irrigate the fields more, this year's harvest is still guaranteed. Kai and the Sihai Chamber of Commerce have agreed that Wudu City will meet each other, and they will soon find Sihai after entering the city. Division of the Chamber of Commerce. Patriarch Hua, our chairman has explained everything to me. Because the time is urgent, the price of the food purchased this time is more than 20% more expensive than usual. Now we are in Wuducheng, Pingducheng, Shintongcheng, Hengxian, Chengdu. Purchased 1.6 million shi for grain. The largest granary is in Chengdu. If we wait another week for the end of the autumn harvest, we can buy up to 1 million shi. The person in charge of the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce seemed very capable. He told Huakai's granary in Wudu City that Huakai came to the destination and saw that there were still carriages constantly moving in to transport food. Coming to the simple small upstairs next to the granary, you can see from here that the guardrail surrounds a large net cloth, and you can't see what is under the net cloth. This was specially prepared by Huakai Chamber of Commerce. He came out of the warehouse to the small door at the corner of the granary, took out a key to enter, and found that this was the bottom of the cloth funnel. There was a bed and a table in this small house. After Huakai entered, he took out the Baoguang glass bottle, put it at the bottom of the funnel and fix it, and let Uncle Wu arrange people to start loading food. Hundreds of strong men carried sacks on the second floor of the warehouse and poured grain into the hopper from a height. The grain was crowded along the funnel in the mouth of the Baoguang glass bottle. Huakai only needed to control the Baoguang glass bottle to put the food. Just suck it into the bottle. Huakai has 54 points of willpower now, which is many times stronger than a year ago. As long as he moves mental energy a little, hundreds of stones of grain will be sucked into the Baoguang glass bottle by him, and those who carry the grain, the workers, were already exhausted. It took more than 6 hours to move hundreds of thousands of stone grains. In the end, these porters didn't know what was under the funnel and kept moving the grain. Huakai just felt that mental energy was a little tired. He asked Wushu to give each porter 5 taels of silver. This was their monthly income. When these workers came out of the granary, Huakai had already returned to the Sihai Chamber of Commerce branch. I went to rest. After sleeping for 2 hours, it was late afternoon. Huakai planned to go to the next destination to collect all the food as much as possible, so as not to have long nights and dreams. When they rode for 2 hours to Pingducheng, it was already dark, but there were still many people in the city busy harvesting grain. After finding the person in charge of the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce in Pingdu City, Huakai received all the grains in Pingdu City's granary before dawn the next day. In this way, the two of them rode up close to the mountains every day and moved to 2 food purchase places. They could only sleep for about 2 hours a day. By September 27th, they had already arrived in the capital city of Shu. There are wars between Ba and Shu all year round, but because of the mountains and rivers, the strength of the two sides is not much different, and they have been getting along very well. Pakistan wants to say that its combat power is slightly stronger than that of Shu, but it is better than economy and culture. Shu can smash Pakistan by a few blocks. Chengdu is the largest city in the kingdom of Shu. When Huakai came to Chengducheng, he was stunned by the prosperity of Chengducheng. It is said that Ba and Shu are middle-sized countries, but the Chengdu city has a population of nearly 500,000, and its prosperity is not worse than that of Linzi City. The Chengdu city is shrouded by several large rivers, and there are bridges and farmland everywhere outside the city. This is really a heavenly choice. As long as you guard a few major bridges, you will not be afraid of barbarous beasts. Chengdu city will be able to produce millions of acres of fertile land. No wonder the people here are richer than Qi. Even so, Huakai doesn't think this kind of environment life is so good. Because there is no shortage of food, the people here lack a kind of aggressive style. The average aptitude of the people is low. Most of the people on the street are F-qualified people. There are too many families who practice martial arts. It was wiped out by other countries. Therefore, the population and area of the two countries are larger than Qi, and more than 4 times larger than South Korea, but they can only be counted as a medium-sized country. The Four Seas Chamber of Commerce in Chengdu City prepared 1 million shi of grain for Huakai. It took Huakai 2 days to get all the grain in Baoguang glass bottle. At this time, the person in charge of the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce told Huakai that these 2 days there are still about 300,000 shi grains that can be delivered. A Chengdu city can collect 1.3 million shi grains, and these grains are probably enough for more than 500,000 people in the whole city to eat for more than a year. This is a huge granary. Just the land outside of dozens of cities in the kingdom of Shu. As long as it is slightly developed and utilized, it will not be a problem for the entire kingdom of Shu to feed more than 20 million people. There are more than 10 countries in the world with a population of more than 1 million, and none of them exceed 10 million. The two big families of Bashu and Sichuan can integrate resources and vigorously cultivate qualified young people. It only takes 100 years for Bashu and Sichuan to become a survivor. The 7 hegemons of the Central Plains are all great powers. Hua Kai took the opportunity to visit the pharmacy here. There are many types of elixir here, and the price is more than twice that of Zongyuan. He also found many elixir above 5th rank here, but the price is not very expensive. After spending 150,000 gold to buy more than 2,000 kinds of spiritual medicines and various common medicinal materials, Hua Kai inquired about the existence of many spiritual trees in this Shangdu city. Among them, Hua Kai was most happy when he heard the news of Zhongling Shu. Zhongling Shu can produce Zhongling Guo, which is the core elixir for refining the 9-rank pill Zhonglingdan. The effect of Zhonglingdan Hua Kai kept in mind. He saw this drugstore with a Zhongling Guo it was sold, and only after inquiring did I know that there was news of Zhongling Shu here. 37%. Chapter 209 Zhongling's Treasure Tree. When Hua Kai found the seller of this Zhongling Guo, he found out that the other party was a down-and-out family. There were more than 10 people left in their family. They lived in a small courtyard. The strongest in the family was only in body tempering. In the middle stage, the one Zhongling Guo was sold at a drugstore for 200 gold. Our family's sacred tree is not sold, not for any amount of money, but it was passed down for thousands of years from our ancestors. An old man who seemed to be about 60 years old said loudly. However, Hua Kai saw the treacherous light in the other party's eyes from time to time. This guy looked like a prodigal thing. This Zhongling Guo is a 5th rank spirit fruit. He sold it for 200 gold. Hua Kai spent a lot of time to buy it. Full 18,000 gold. You don't need to be nervous. We will see when we come today. The fruit of this tree can repair all injuries in an instant. Hua Kai said. It's okay for you to see it, but you can't get too close, the sacred tree will not like it. The old man said deliberately. When Hua Kai followed the old man through several shabby yards and came to a garden, he only saw dead trees standing there as high as one person. Hua Kai checked the attributes of dead trees, but found that the system showed that he was a 3rd rank treasure tree. It's just that it has reached a state of dying. This tree of yours is already dead, and can still bear fruit. There was originally a spiritual formation here, right? Without the assistance of the spiritual formation, this spiritual tree will not absorb enough spiritual qi, and it will die slowly. Hua Kai looking at Zhongling Shu in front of her, she said with some regret. The old man blushed for a while. The Zhongling Guo he sold was originally from the previous family. The most precious tree in the genealogy became like this after he demolished the spirit array, so he deliberately selling Zhongling Guo invited people to come to the door and wanted to sell this spirit tree. I am more interested in the spirit tree. Although it is dead, it can give birth to a 5th rank spirit fruit. This wood is also worth a lot of money, 10,000 gold coins. With money, you can buy some servants and restore the glory of the family. Hua Kai said. It's not impossible to sell it to you. 100,000 gold less than 1 bone coin will not work. This tree has been in my house for thousands of years. If it weren't for its death, I would never sell him. The old man looked at Hua Kai and said. Up to 20,000 gold, the wood of your tree is not enough for a spear, not a big sword, but a long sword. 20,000 is not enough. No one except me is willing to give this price. Hua Kai said. The last two discussed that the tree of 23,000 gold should be returned to Hua Kai. An ordinary family that is about to die, there is such a spiritual tree planted in the backyard. If it was taken away by the family in Qi, but in Shu, there was no family to care about it. The reason Hua Kai thought it took a long time to figure out. Shu has a large population base, low average qualifications, and dislikes martial arts. In the north, the Kingdom of Pakistan resists the barbarous beasts of the Kinling Mountains. To the west is a group of snow-capped mountains with a height of 10,000 meters. Ordinary people are very obedient to the leadership of the family, but the family has no competitors for hundreds of years and it is difficult to change. Without the birth of a new family, there is no pressure to survive in each family, so the cultivation resources are worthless, and ordinary people rarely have conflicts. Condition. Suddenly, Hua Kai had an idea to split a branch from the family, and come here to use the cheap cultivation resources here. Ascension strength, the branch can develop into a behemoth here in less than 20 years. If you think about it carefully, forget it, not to mention how difficult it is to travel through 800 miles of Qinchuan. Hua Kai now has no shortage of cultivation resources, and now Qi is more suitable for family development than Shu. Hua Kai and Hua Zichen carefully dug out the entire Zhongling tree, and then took it back to the inn. Hua Kai sprinkled spirit liquid on the surrounding trees and roots. The tree is still the same. With a cruel heart, Wakai took out a drop of Wanyan stalactite and placed it on its roots, and then Wanyan stalactite entered Zhang Lingshu's body, and Wakai instantly felt that something in the treasure tree had come to life. He spent 3 drops of 10,000 years stalactite in a row before it turned its near-death state to a stop-growing state. Sprinkle spirit liquid around it. How to bring Zhang Lingshu home has become a problem. Huakai's portable space cannot contain living things, and if it is put in it for a few hours, it will die regardless of the possibility. Going home has to cross the entire Kinling Mountains, and it is absolutely impossible to bring it back on your back. So how can you bring this treasure tree home? The first thing Wakai thinks of is space. Unfortunately, no one except himself has such a large space to bring in Zhang Lingshu, so relying on family secret realm space to send Zhang Lingshu home is not enough. Wakai once tried to bring things into the space, but as long as he leaves, and when he enters next time, there will be nothing left in the clean space. He suddenly thought of a way. Is it possible for several people to guard one thing in rotation? Will not disappear. In that case, he can let his 4th uncle and grandfather take turns to help him watch, and then take it out after he gets home. Wakai and Wushu randomly tried a few things. As he expected, as long as someone is in this space, things will not disappear. After people leave, everything will disappear, so that they can transport some precious big spirits. Tree. On the next day, Huakai contacted the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce and asked them to contact the family with the spirit tree to see if there was any idea to sell the spirit tree. He bought it at several times the market price, but he bought 60 in 2 days. Many spirit trees, although the highest value of them is only the 3rd rank spirit tree. For this reason, Huakai spent more than 8,000 gold. As long as it is not a spiritual tree that produces spiritual fruits, the general value will not be too high. The 4th uncle and grandfather have gone home with the caravan. This time, the family went on business very smoothly. They came back on the 8th day after Huakai left. Now the family is arranging these newly returned slaves while handling the goods waiting to return from the grassland. This time, the caravan directly brought back tens of thousands of horses, with a total value of more than 300,000 gold. The grassland is now when the price of cattle and sheep is high, and the price of horses is cheap. This year, the price of horses in Chi is not high. Huakai has been communicating with his grandfather in the family space these days. Some of the horses were first accepted by the affiliated villages and families. So after 25 days, Wahiapu never saw Washing and Wazawan appear at the same time. Huakai also rushed to leave Shengdu and returned to Han County to collect the food purchased in the past few days. Then he returned to Xintong City, Pingdu City, and Wudu City to purchase thousands of elixir and more than 50 special trees. Tree. In the early morning of the 27th, Huakai and Wazichan started to head towards the Kinling Mountains again. The way back seemed to be particularly fast. Huakai had adapted to the rhythm of Luma, and became more proficient with it. It was only 4 days. Time they returned to the territory of Qin. But it is said that the return of the Guangxian business group this year has made the entire Guangxian town lively all of a sudden. Horses are not very expensive this year, and some not-so-rich villages have also pooled their money to buy horses, hoping to raise them at home and sell them at a high price next year. The people in Guangxian County, who were already about to enter the famine, saw the business group come back, and they gave up their plans to escape the famine. They tried to join the family that had a great deal of business this year. The 7 major villages outside the city collected a few in just 1 week. Everyone in the family was happy, but they couldn't help but feel anxious, because all the families didn't have enough food. In the first year of this year, the Yi family followed the Hua family to go to the Zongnu country. They harvested more than 100 horses, more than 50 young and strong slaves, and more than 20 horses and carts of animal skins and bones. Although the price of horses is low this year, this trip has at least $4,000 in profit. However, the owner of the Yi family couldn't be happy because the family's food has been less than 3 months to eat, and it's useless if there is no food and money. The population has become a burden on the family. What did the Hua family say? The owner of the Yi family went to the Hua family this afternoon. Now they can only ask for help from the Hua family. If the Hua family is willing to support them with food, they can also take in some refugees who are above the Kaiyuan level. There are still a lot of people, and many children are very good and worth training. If the Hua family can continue to support them with food, it will be a bit tighter to survive this year, and next year may directly double the strength of Ascension. This is a rare opportunity. Hua Kai hasn't given any news yet, saying that it will be notified tomorrow morning. A core member of the Yi family said. Alas. In fact, the Hua family has helped us a lot. If it weren't for their secret support since last year, how could our Yi family be as prosperous as it is today? The impact of this drought has exceeded all of us imagined. Look at what it looks like this winter. The chances of snow are not high, and next year may also be a year of severe drought. Patriarch of the Yi family said worriedly. In this case, no matter how much food the Hua family has, they will not be able to withstand the consumption of all the affiliated families. They have to protect themselves first. Don't take in the victims easily in the future. The victims cannot be saved, and we must start saving food. The family line nodded and said. The whole caravan returning from the Huns has not been happy for a few days, and everyone is beginning to be troubled by the family's water and food shortage problems. The water in the wells in many villages has become turbid. This is a sign that the wells are about to run out of water, and everyone has begun to store water. The food problem is even more of a big problem. Many families have already begun to reduce the supply of food while calling for help from the Chinese family, and are ready to face the severe drought in the long term. In the early morning of the next day, the Yi family received a notice from the Hua family to go to Wahiapu, and the Hua family announced something. The Yi family didn't dare to neglect. They rode to Wahiapu and saw the villages outside the city such as the Huang family and the Zheng family. When everyone arrives, let's go to the conference hall together. Father Hua is there waiting for you, said Ding, a special grade expert of the Hua family. After everyone did not dare to thank this special class family member, they came to the main courtyard conference hall together. When they walked in and saw Hua Xing sitting on the main seat with an unconcealable smile on his face, everyone guessed that today might be a good thing. 37%. Chapter 210 Final Preparation. When entering the conference hall, everyone found that the Hua family had only invited 10 families, namely the 7 villages outside the city, plus the Ren family, Tai family, and Zhou family in the city. These 10 families were the strongest families outside of the Jia family among the affiliated forces of the Hua family. As everyone knows this drought, it may not pass next year or even the next year. All our families must be prepared for the long-term drought. Everyone also saw that Kair and the 5th child were not at home. They went to the south to find food this time. All of you sitting here are families with the best relationship with the Chinese family. Today I will just be straightforward. The Hua family hopes that each family can be promoted to the aristocratic family as soon as possible. The Hua family has now reached the level of 23 in the Qi training stage. It is certain to be promoted to the 7th rank or even higher in the future, so you must also quickly ascension strength. Kair spoke to me when she was leaving, to fully support the development of the Chinese affiliated forces. Now the entire Central Plains are looking for you as refugees. If the food is sufficient, the family's strength will multiply and it will not be a problem. In the next 3 years, the Hua family can borrow 10,000 shi of food from the families sitting there, but you need to keep it confidential. If you need it, you can get it from Wahiapu and the Wafu in the city. It is best at night when there are few people. In addition, the Hua family can provide a loan of 10,000 gold to your top 10 families. If you want to expand your own village or mansion, go to Lindsay City as soon as possible to invite some craftsmen. If you can't, the Hua family can also support some craftsmen. The opportunity is here, and I won't say any more. All the other houses will come later, and the 10 of you will just remember what I said. Hua Xing said slowly, looking at the people sitting. The 10 patriarchs below are sitting here with excitement. If they have 10,000 stones of food, they can save a bit of food and can feed at least 5,000 people. This is how the Chinese family supports them to grow. Moreover, if they buy medicine pill with this 10,000 gold loan, they can buy medicine pill at half price of Wahia, and they can buy nearly 100 medicine pill, which is enough for them to recruit some qualified refugees to join their family, and then completely buy people's hearts and family strength. Ascension that doesn't fly yet. Hua Xing specifically said about the expansion of their village and mansion, which obviously encouraged them to take in more refugees. Today, the 10 families are going to be completely tied to the chariot of the Hua family. The meeting was very brief. The 10 big families left the meeting hall and stopped discussing food and expansion. They talked about the war in the north, the way to deal with this drought, and some people were testing the possibility of each family getting married. Everyone there is no more anxiety on his face when he first arrived. Everyone is actually thinking about how he needs to use so much food and funds to develop the own family faster. At about noon, more than 80 families in Guangxian County, including several villages with a population of more than 200 outside Wahiabao, sent their responsible persons. They waited in the conference hall together. All the affiliated forces of the Wahia family gathered in Wahiabao. Everyone noticed that the Hua family had unknowingly ruled over 60% of Guangxian's power, and the entire Guangxian had already been under the control of the Hua family unknowingly. Hua Xing came out to preside over the meeting when all the families arrived. He mainly said 4 things today. The first is the issue of water preparation for drought. All families must accumulate drinking water as soon as possible. As the porcelain supply family, the Zheng family must increase the production of large-scale porcelain, so that all families must store drinking water for more than 2 months. The second thing is about food. All families report the amount of food they need to the Hua family. As for how much they can get, it depends on the Hua family. All families cannot sell a grain from today, otherwise they will be punished by the Chinese family. The third is the management of refugees outside the city of Guangxian. All families must establish their own porridge sheds to ensure that the entire Guangxian is not messed up. If groups of refugees are found to be assembled, killed, burned and looted, the families will be suppressed as soon as possible. Notify Wahia. The fourth is confidentiality and low-key. The delivery of food is carried out at night. Now it is a drought. Don't leave the village easily. Don't let the villagers discuss the source of food too much. The Wahia Academy is now only under the Guangxian Academy, and families with children who need to attend school can send their children over. The Hua family only wants to train outstanding talents for the affiliated families, but all the families think that the Hua family is reminding them to send protons. Everyone patted their chests and promised to send the best teenagers in their direct line. The main family wants protons. This is a kind of trust in the affiliated family. Basically all families don't reject this. The first thing you need to pay to get so much from the Hua family is own loyalty. Otherwise, this time you want food that the Hua family can give how much you. The affiliated forces of the Hua family began to get busy. They began to prepare to cope with the long-term drought. Some families began to secretly dig cellars, and they had to lock up the village when the food was delivered from the Hua family. Except for some major family members, others were in the drought. You can't leave the compound or the village before it's over. However, some forces are aiming at these refugees who are constantly coming from the north, and they will come forward when they find that they have strength or good aptitude. Ordinary people see their aptitude based on their feelings, and the accuracy rate is not high. No one will go. Pay attention to whether these refugees finally left or were taken as families. At night, the carriages in and out of Wahiapu kept coming and going. They quietly pulled carts of food from Wahiapu. Villagers in Wahiapu didn't know how much food there was in Wahiapu, but every time they saw it, they felt distressed. Now the food is possible. Help. No one noticed that the villages outside Guangxian County were quietly expanding. Some of them even directly learned that Wahiabao built the outer city wall. Every diva mouth in the village is increasing. The number of refugees outside Guangxian County began to increase. Some fled to Lu and heard that the drought in southern countries was also very serious. They returned to Guangxian County. Although there was not enough food, they at least did not starve to death. When Huakai returned to Guangxian on October 19, he saw that Guangxian was surrounded by tens of thousands of victims. Some of the victims simply built simple houses outside the city and just kept queuing for porridge every day. When I went to the city gate, I found dozens of porridge stalls were all serving porridge. The person in charge of each family found that the disaster victims were strong or clever and approached to negotiate with each other. With luck, those refugees can become new families. Worried about being starved to death again, Huakai arrived at the gate of Guangxian City and asked Wushu to take someone back first. I need to go to Wahiapu to quickly get all the spirit trees out of the space. The fourth uncle and grandpa have been taking turns guarding these spirit trees for more than 20 days. There are nearly 10,000 refugees passing through the gate, and Wahiabao now uses 20 porridge tanks to serve porridge. There are thousands of households who maintain order outside the village. Entering the village, it seems to have come to another world. The business district in the village is still bustling and bustling. The villagers should do their work. They also practice martial arts to continue their education and patrols. The children carry their school bags to the school to study. Huakai found Shu Hua in Lingtian and took out all the spiritual trees to him. In the past few days, there have been some spiritual trees that could not survive. It is better to give these things to professional people. The fourth uncle was liberated from the space. Hua Zawan went out of the inner village to look for Hua Kai, and Hua Xing also came. They couldn't help but sink when they saw that Wakai had been out for less than 2 months before their skin color changed drastically. Many 15-year-olds in the family are still studying in the school and don't know anything. Wakai has saved the family from distress many times, and he bears the future of the entire Chinese family on his shoulders. Grandpa, fourth uncle, how is the situation at home now? Although everyone has been communicating in the family secret realm space, Wakai could not help but ask when seeing the growing refugee group outside the village. It's only 10 days. The more than 30,000 stones of grain left in the family have been emptied. If you don't come back, our family can only last for 5 days. Yesterday, an affiliated family asked me quietly, what is the Hua family? It's not that there is no food. Hua Xing said. Food is no longer a problem. The family must take care of the slaves outside the village. As the disaster continues to worsen, they will gather more and more. In the past few days, many people have been spent in Wahiapu. Can't go down. Wakai frowned and said. Let's do it. Tomorrow build a few refugee camps, put all the people who don't want to leave in them, all young and strong, together with parents and children. There are 1,000 people in each refugee camp. Give them some work and let them stay in. Build roads outside Wahiabao and repair farmland. Wakai thought for a while and said. In this way, Wahiapu might cultivate a group of parasites. They will not have the pressure to survive, and they will not have the motivation to work hard. The Wahia has been raising them because they have harmed them. After talking with his grandfather, Wakai came to the Wahiapu granary. The Wahiapu granary, which has been expanded many times, could only hold 300,000 she of grain. In the evening, the Wahia informed the affiliated families that the food delivery began again in the evening. Huakai bought back more than 1.8 million she of grain from Bashu and Sichuan. The two granaries in Wahiapu and Guangxianwafu could only hold less than 500,000 she. These grains are enough for 100,000 people to eat for 3 years. It should be enough for my family to deal with this drought. The core staff of the Hua family finally got together. The Hua family held another grand wedding for Hua Zichen and Princess Ji La on October 25. All families with good relations with the Hua family came to congratulate. This day, the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce Chong Chu Yuncheng came in person and gave Hua Zichen a very rich gift. In the evening, Huakai invited Chu Yuncheng to the main courtyard. Today, the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce sent thousands of elixir. Every year, the two private elixir and medicine pill transactions bring them huge profits and connections, allowing them to get all the drugs. After the box was taken down, Wakai took out a beautiful jade box. This year the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce collects food for the Hua family. This kindness and the Hua family will not forget. This elixir is this time of thanks. Wakai took out a medicine pill and placed it in front of Chu Yuncheng. 37%. Chapter 211 Qin Zheng. Wakai handed Chu Yuncheng a gold body pill, which gave them a foundation building seed. Only the spiritual pill master can successfully refine the pill. The Four Seas Chamber of Commerce originally thought that it had taken the Hua family very seriously, but at this time they discovered that what they saw might be just the tip of the Hua family's iceberg. On the one hand, Huakai did this to repay the help of the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce, and on the other hand, it was also to prevent the other side from being dissatisfied. If the Four Seas Chamber of Commerce dared to betray and do something unfavorable to the Hua family, Huakai could use the spirit pill as a condition to let the Four Seas the Chamber of Commerce and even the state of Chu paid an unbearable price. After Hua Zichen's wedding was over, he was going to be called to the country of Yan, and he didn't know when he would come back. The entire Hua family is very heavy. In everyone's mind, Zhang Hua Zichen is the first Shantian seed in the Hua family. After going on the battlefield, I don't know what the result will be. This war is bound to be a long-term battle. If it is to end, at least the kingdom of Yan will need to regain most of the lost land. On October 30th, Wakai and Wushu went to Linzi City on horseback. Entering Jixia Academy to study, time flies quickly. Wakai still listened to classes all day long to increase his own learning accumulation. In an instant, the winter came and passed. Wakai was 16 years old, but he was still in the new century. There are more and more refugees in the whole Qi country. The family does not have enough food to control the refugees getting worse and worse. From time to time, there are news in Linzi that villages outside the city have been attacked by refugees. Now all families have closed their gates. It is not important. Everyone will not leave home a step away, and the Qi family also has stricter management of the students in Jixia Academy, and all requests for family visits are generally rejected. Today it is rumored in the academy that after the arrival of the elite support from Qi state on the battlefield of the Kingdom of Yan, the offensive of the armies of various countries in the Linhu grassland has slowed down. They have been plundering the northern part of Yan Kingdom for half a year, and they have almost collected enough slaves and food. Jixia Academy sent 2 giants, and more than 30 of them supported the battlefield together last year. I heard that 1 giant had fallen and more than half of them were killed. The battlefield is actually much more tragic than everyone thought, but Donglin Guo et al. It is no longer possible that the coalition forces want to invade the territory of Qi. Shui Chen entered Jixia Academy last month as the number 1 in Guangxian Academy. He took a Chinese student who was over 16 years old, and the number of residents in Shengji number 2 courtyard finally became 4. After listening to a class from a Mohist school in the morning, Wakai felt that he had benefited a lot. Now he has become a student of Confucianism, Taoism, Fa and Mohism, and has become a student of the 4 major thoughts of Jixia Academy. He has no choice but to become a member of the 4 universities. To become a student, as long as you have a solid foundation and understanding, you must have a unique understanding and insight to become everyone, or it is not an exaggeration to summarize a set of own thoughts and theories. Because if you want to achieve success, you don't need to work hard. Huakai sees here that he knows that he has learned enough. Now the goal is how ascension belongs to own perception. The best way is to write books and write own novels. The first thing Wakai thought of was the Red Chamber. Many cultural traditions and etiquette in it are the same as this world, and the irony and irrationality in the book are particularly prominent in this world. Wakai feels that if he can write a book of Red Mansions in this world, his influence should be much greater than that of 3 Kingdoms. Wakai didn't go to class on this day, so he thought about how to write Red Mansion at home when Shui Chen walked in. Patriarch, something big happened. Shui Chen said solemnly when he came to Wakai. What's the matter? Wakai asked. Qin has suffered heavy losses in the war with Linhu, Huns and other countries. Other countries have not sent too many reinforcements. I heard that Qin King Qin Zheng has taken action and killed 3 foundation buildings in one fell swoop. There are more than 20 countries in the grassland. The name Shantian was killed. King Qin might be in big trouble. Shui Chen said when he came to Huakai. King Qin Qin Zheng is known as the number 1 genius in the world. He became a king at the age of 13. He entered Shantian at the age of 18. At the age of 21, foundation building succeeded in becoming a pro-government. At the age of less than 35, he condensed gold core and became one of the most powerful people in the world. It has been more than 100 years since Qin Zheng condensed gold core, and there is no rumors that Qin Zheng will make another move, but he is recognized by the world as the number 1 master. Therefore, the entire state of Qin has always been the most fierce and fearless of the 7 nations, and now the state of Qin alone resists more than 300,000 cavalry on the grasslands. But Qin Zheng's shot at this time had too much influence on his future. The foundation building realm in this world can be called the king. Compared with the Shantian realm, its combat power is a world. It can be said that entering the foundation building realm will bring you to another level. Entering this level, your status and lifespan have been sublimated, but you are limited. It also began to increase. First of all, excessive killings above the foundation building level will affect their understanding of the rules of heaven and earth, and also affect his breakthrough. In severe cases, Heart's demon will be difficult to survive. Therefore, all countries can only use the foundation building environment as the final whole card. Qin Zheng is less than 200 years old now, and he is the most likely existence in the world to break through the divine realm and become the first emperor in the ages. But this time, for the entire Qin state, he had to choose to shoot. This is about breaking his own future. It has been a year since Wakai entered the Jixia Academy. He already knew the probabilities of the various realms of cultivation. He first felt regret when he heard Qin Zheng's move, and then deeply hated him. If Qin Zheng breaks through the divine realm, then he can clean up all kinds of demonic beasts in the world. The divine realm is equivalent to the demonic beasts of the middle and high-level demonic beasts. If the human race emerges in a state of transformation, it means that the human race will begin to have an absolute upper hand in the fight against the monster race. In the next 100 years, the beast siege in the winter may become history. But all this was ruined by the Linhu, Zongnu, Da, and Xiaoyu clan, and the human race would have to wait for such a person to become an emperor. I don't know, it would have to wait for thousands of years. Wakai was thinking. Wazan rushed in from outside the hospital urgently. Patriarch, Sage is going to give a lecture. Zan stood up after talking about Kai. Originally, he said that there was sage in Jixia Academy, but he didn't expect that sage would also give lectures. Sage from Jixia Academy is said to be one of the 3 sages of Confucianism. He has lived in seclusion in the academy for 500 years. Today, he was born again, don't know why. Is it because of the severe drought? Sage will give lectures tomorrow, and all other courses in the school will be cancelled. Kai has heard that sage lectures are all visionary. He must go to sage lectures tomorrow. On the second day, Kai got up before dawn and saw that many students were already walking in the direction of the class. He and Shui Chen and the other 4 walked along the crowd, and soon saw a quaint palace with a few outside the palace. The Shantian guards are maintaining order. Perhaps only Sage has such a scene. Sage has the same status as the 7 powers. Seeing that someone was registering in front, it turned out that this class had to be registered and sorted. After Kai signed up, he saw that he had got a second position. Except for Kai, from the 1st to the 10th, the others are all gentlemen from the college. All 10 of them have futons to sit and listen to Sage's lectures up close. Then 20 sons and 40 gentlemen of Jixia Academy sat behind them, but they could only sit on the ground without futons. As for other teachers and students, they can only listen to the class outside the palace. For a slightly forward position, some students are also blushing. When the palace gates slowly opened, Kai followed the giant and slowly walked into the great hall. He saw a kind-faced old man looking at them smiling. Kai and the teachers saluted Sage. Then Sage smiled. Response. Kai knows that there are a lot of rumors about Sage, and everyone has taken Sage out of the ordinary. Some people say that Sage has been incarnate, heavenly Tao can know everything in the world, and some people say that Sage can start creating things and unlock special secret realm. Kai's seat is only 3 meters away from Sage. He is a little worried. Does Sage know all his secrets just by looking at himself? If you know that he is a rebirth, will you catch yourself with the system and study it? Yesterday I heard that King Qin Jung killed more than 20 people on the prairie. Now the crisis of Qin state has been resolved, but it is as difficult for King Qin to break through the divine realm. This can't help but sigh. Qin Jung was a young genius, a rare encounter in the human race. He was familiar with the thoughts of the philosophers at the age of 6. At the age of 16, all of the 10 schools and 9 tiers were small. However, he himself believes in the way of the emperor, and the thoughts of the philosophers. There is a certain conflict. Quote. Sage didn't rush or slow down, hearing Kai's mind so clearly. Unexpectedly, Sage was born today for King Qin's business, so he didn't know what Sage's purpose was. Although the king of Qin is not very interested in the various schools of thought, he has learned knowledge from the ideas of the schools of thought, and he has achieved his own Tao. This kind of Tao is not for the heavens and for the people, but it has his reason, although I don't admire it, but I am sure that Qin Jung's Tao is unique to him. Speaking of this, it is the first time that everyone has heard of a Tao that does not belong to the philosophers, and Sage looks very positive. This surprised all the students. Qin state used to be barbaric and violent in everyone's minds. Some scholars even think that to list Qin as one of the 7 heroes is a blasphemy against the culture of the Central Plains. This is the first time everyone has heard someone say that there is still a Tao outside of 100 schools of thought, and it is Sage. Teacher, can we learn Qin Jung's way? The middle-aged giant next to Kai asked. He is one of Sage's disciples. Qin Jung's Tao can't be learned by learning, you don't have to pay attention. The 2 giants in Jixia Academy went north to fight against Hu, and now they have all fallen. Today I will talk to everyone about the spring and autumn period. Sage finished speaking softly. Speaking of spring and autumn. Kai is very familiar with this passage. Sage said this passage is considered to be the most famous in the spring and autumn period, but in his ears, he seems to be telling everyone a short story. Every ordinary narration seems to contain truth. Kai fell into it unknowingly. 37%. Chapter 212 Breakthrough Pneumatic Realm. I don't know how long it took. Kai suddenly noticed that Sage's lecture was over, and many people seemed to be silent in their own sentiment, unable to extricate themselves. This is the end of today's lecture. Guangxian Wahia Huakai, would you like to pass on the disciples for me? Kai couldn't help being surprised when he saw Sage looking at him kindly. Sage actually wanted to accept himself as a personal biography. Although he has excellent talents, it is not easy to get an ordinary disciple. Did Sage see the secret of own? But it's not right to think about it carefully. If Sage really knew he had a system, he would never accept him as a personal pass. You must know that the personal pass represents the legacy inheritance. Generally speaking, sages' disciples are divided into three types: personally transmitted, ordinary, and registered. The most sage of Confucianism, Confucius, once accepted 72 personally transmitted disciples, and sage will be taught by sage personally when the most sage of Confucianism. All have become giants and above, which led to Taoism becoming the #1 school in the world under the power of Confucianism. Everyone in the Great Hall looked at Huakai enviously, and some people signaled Huakai to speak quickly, but Huakai didn't seem to get over it. My surname is Zhang. I was the youngest disciple of Kong Sheng who sat down. If you, as the son of Qi Guo, have the guidance of sage, it is not impossible for you to achieve the holy throne in the future. Seeing Huakai stunned, Sage introduced him to him, exactly like a friend is talking to him, and people can't feel the feeling of being elevated. How could Huakai never hear the name of Zheng Sage, the Confucian three sage Sanya Sage? This sage is said to have a higher aptitude than Kong Zisheng. He achieved the holy throne in his 40s, and his talent is not worse than that of Qin Zheng. How many? Back to Sage. Huakai once studied the theories of various schools of thought, but only felt that the ideas of novelists are the most suitable, and cultivation is the easiest. Investing in Confucianism may not have enough comprehension, and it will be exhausted to Sage. Huakai got up and bowed to Sage. Said. Everyone present was also moved by Huakai's words and became Sage personally who did not want to, but Huakai told Sage that he did not have enough understanding of Confucianism, and no one dared to lie and be polite in front of Sage. Sage's essence was conspicuous in a word, of. You are not far from the day when you become a giant of a novelist. In the future, the achievement of novelists is bound to exceed that of other novelists. But by different routes, after the foundation building, the thinking is no longer confined to a certain family and a certain school. Zheng Sage said. Thanks to the teacher for your advice. Huakai stood up and gave the gift of teachers and students, and Zheng Shen accepted it calmly. In addition, Meng Yunfei, Qi Junan, Lu Lian, and Shui Chen are ordinary disciples. Zheng Shen said after looking at the distance. Shui Chen was still at the farthest point of the Great Hall. He heard Zheng Sage called his name when he was looking in his direction. He hurriedly got up. Everyone did not expect that this immature-looking teenager would be accepted as a disciple by Sage. The possibility of becoming a king in the future is very high. After Sage's lecture was over, Huakai, Shui Chen, Meng Yunfei and others stayed there. Zheng Shen took them through the back hall of the Great Hall and came to a small classroom. This is for them to have a separate lesson. Huakai, your savvy is hard to come by in thousands of years. Although your qualifications are not good, your willpower has entered the late stage of Shantian. In the future, as long as you delve into the creation of own novels, you will have a great chance of breaking through Shantian barriers within 10 years. From tomorrow on, you will don't go to listen to other gentlemen's classes. In the morning, you will conceive your novel, and in the afternoon I will arrange homework for you. Zheng Shen motioned Huakai to sit in the front and said to him. Zheng Sage only talked about Huakai from the beginning. From his strengths to deficiencies, he didn't care about the four of them at all. The four of them knew that in fact, ordinary apprentices were accompanied by students and could follow Sage's insights. It will be much easier for them to enter the foundation building in the future. Huakai listened carefully to Sage's account, and today he finally knows the power of Sage. Any question becomes very simple in their mouths, describing the profound truth in simple words, and Huakai has to stop and think for a while to understand every time he asks a few sentences. Think about what I said after you go back today. Write a good novel tomorrow morning and come to me in the afternoon. I won't give you homework today. Zheng Sage finished saying that several people can leave. Huakai, Shui Chen and others saluted and retired. Meng Yunfei and others followed Huakai and Shui Chen to the number 2 Shengjiyuan. At this time, the news that Huakai was accepted as a personal pass by the Shengji had spread. Huakai declined all visitors, and today he was full of rewards. He entered the bedroom impatiently and fell asleep, recalling Sage's advice in his sleep. It's just that today he recalled in big dream view ideas and felt much clearer than before, recalling more than 10 times. Huakai felt that 2 hours had passed, but he still had no intention of waking up. Recall that Huakai exited the sleeping space 10 times, when he received the system prompt. Congratulations to the host God-level special mental method big dream view idea for entering Xiaocheng, all attributes are +1. Seeing the big dream view idea finally break through into Xiaocheng, Huakai was too late to be happy. He only felt that the whole body of true qi was running quickly, and he had no time to react to the automatic conversion of spiritual qi into true qi in Dantian. Hua Kai knew that he couldn't suppress it anymore, but he is now more than 16 years old, and it is normal to enter the aerodynamic state, so he just let it go and experience the physical changes after spiritual qi is converted to true qi. In fact, within just a few breaths, Hua Kai felt the spiritual qi in his body automatically transformed into true qi. These true qis continued to run in his body, and the spiritual qi around him continuously condensed from his body, entering his Dantian, slowly increasing his true qi total. It's been a long time since Hua Kai saw that true qi in his body had grown to a limit. He had completed his breakthrough this time and was about to check his attributes. At this time, a trace of mystery was passed on to himself through the mental energy link between him and Xiaoqiang. Hua Kai guessed that Xiaoqiang had finally made a breakthrough. Just as he wanted to go out, he felt a powerful energy transmitted to his sea of consciousness. His whole body seemed to be nourished by nectar, slowly growing. Spiritual qi, the world that had already dispersed, came back to the rules, and Hua Kai began to feel that his true qi was slowly increasing, and in a short while, it increased to several times the amount it had just started. When all the spiritual qi retreated, Hua Kai felt relaxed for a while, and it opened the own property panel. Hua Kai. 3 layers of pneumatic environment. Qualification. B. Physique. 33. Strength. 39. Will. 59. Novelist. Everyone. Confucianism. Scholars. Mind method novelist. The basic skills of copywriting. The low-level mental method of heaven is great. Mind method. Meditation tactics. Low-level mental methods. Great perfection. Marksmanship. Split air spear. Advanced marksmanship of the mysterious stage. Zochin. Saber technique. 18 swords. Yellow rank. Advanced saber technique complete. Special mind method. Big dream ideas. God level. Xiao Cheng. Special skill. Real eye cannot be upgraded. Big dream view idea upgrade to Xiaochang. Realm reaches level 3 of pneumatic realm, and his willpower has reached 59 points. The key is that his aptitude has increased by an advanced rank. This is really an outside pleasure. Entering the big dream viewing thoughts dream space again, Hua Kai found that it is easier for him to enter the dream state now than before, and he has no problem staying in the dream for 6 consecutive hours. Today, he listened to the words of teacher sage in the dream state. Hundreds of times, this made him feel deeply. The next morning, Hua Kai got up and saw Xiaoqiang in the yard. He checked Xiaoqiang's attributes. Spirit Beast. Tier 4 36%. Strength. 34. Agility. 39. Intelligence. 44. Talent. Tracking. Fury. Air of Dog King. Visual sharing. Owner. Hua Kai. Loyalty. 100. Skills. Slightly. Xiaoqiang finally broke through. Hua Kai felt that Xiaoqiang seemed to lose weight all night, and his coat gradually became golden, which looked more prestigious than before. Last night, I recalled what Mr. Sage said. What Hua Kai always thought about was how to write Red Mansion with a better flavor. Although Zheng Shen Sage's words are all Confucian theories, they can be used in various places after promotion and extension. Hua Kai could not help applying these ideas to the plot of the novel. After breakfast in the morning, he began to write novels in the room alone. With the identity of the novelist, the plot in Hua Kai's mind was all connected when he started writing. Some new knowledge and insights were incorporated into the novel. The whole, Red Mansion, is more vivid and soulful than he imagined. Hua Kai has been writing 3 times before stopping after more than 20,000 words. Because all the characters and plots in the novel are in his mind, Hua Kai feels a trance when he stops writing. Mental energy is consumed too much, and he treats himself. The Ministry of the Red Chamber is very satisfied. After returning to the room to sleep for a while, Hua Kai checked the Red Mansion in his dream and corrected some minor defects. After he woke up, it was already lunchtime. He ate lunch and hurried to the teacher's palace. When they arrived outside the palace, Meng Yunfei and others were already waiting here. They saw Hua Kai coming over to give him a salute, and then they followed Hua Kai to the small classroom where he was in class yesterday. There are no servants or maids in the teacher's palace. All the sanitation in the palace is cleaned by himself. The more Hua Kai understands Sage, the more he admires them. Both their words, deeds and thoughts about realm are incomprehensible to ordinary people. Once saw Hua Kai come in, he smiled and nodded his head. He obviously saw Hua Kai's progress over the night. He didn't feel that Hua Kai suddenly entered the 3rd floor of pneumatic realm. As an own student, yesterday how could it be without comprehension? This, Red Mansion, is very well written. It is much better than Three Kingdoms. You should be writing to persuade the world. This Jia family should decline in the end. Sage only read it once and knew that Huakai's Red Mansion core. Although he wrote about Jia's magnificence and countless maids, they seem to write about the prosperity of the family. In fact, all their prosperity and rules are useless for the development of the family. This book is about the extravagance of the life of the family. It is to make everyone realize what is the most important thing for a family. Sage said that persuading the world is actually a satire. As the protagonist died one by one, the book slowly revealed the criticism of the family. Yes, teacher, this novel mainly writes about the bad things of the family. Hua Kai said. Well, write it. You are already a novelist for detailed things. I have nothing to teach you. This novel may become the foundation for your sanctification. Zheng Shen Sage is very optimistic about Hua Kai's Red Mansion. 37%. Chapter 213. Hua Kai follows the teacher to learn his thought experience every day. Sage's knowledge is like a vast starry sky, unfathomable. Hua Kai finished the Red Mansion in only half a year. When he finished with a total of 2.6 million words, he felt that his basic copywriting skills had reached the edge of breakthrough. As long as he entered the foundation building, he could become a novelist giant. After the Red Mansion was over, Hua Kai rested for half a year and then began to write Water Margin. It is hard to see Hua Kai in Jixia Academy now, but his Red Mansion has just been born and it has had a great influence in the academy. Some trainees started the Red Chamber Society, and the number of participants was no less than that of the Three Kingdoms Society. There is still no trace of the end of the drought in the whole world. More and more people are fleeing in Qi. Many counties have been surrounded by hungry refugees. Some refugees have begun to attack the county town to survive, but there has not been any county town breached in Qi. News. Everyone is suffering. Wahiapu has been completely expanded. From the first 5 refugee camps outside the village, there have been more than 10 refugee camps. There are thousands of people in each refugee camp. Because of the sufficient food in Guangxian County, it is rare to hear that people have been killed. Starved to death. Everything is normal, except that Huakai knows that the Hua family is not considered an affiliated power. Today, the population of its subordinates plus refugees has exceeded 50,000, and the entire Guangxian city has a population of more than 70,000. Many refugees only need to flee to the city of Guangxian. No longer leaving, the population of Guangxian is still increasing. The battle on the battlefield of Yan Kingdom was fierce. Qi Kingdom reached 4 in the foundation building where Yan Kingdom was killed. 2 of them were the giants of Jixia Academy. There is news from Huazichan that the East Hu coalition forces are now beginning to retreat, but it may take a long time to drive the opponent out of Yan State, and Yan State has suffered heavy losses now. The battlefield of the Qin State was unexpected. After Qin Zheng took the initiative, it took only a few months for the Qin State to take back its own territory. The Linhu, Zhongnu and other countries still did not retreat here, and did not snatch it from the Qin State. Population and property. They can only wait to die when they return to the tribe. At the end of December, this year's barren beasts began to increase slowly, which turned out to be a good thing for ordinary people. Some people who were too hungry began to cooperate in hunting barren beasts. Many of these beasts were he was killed by hungry victims as soon as he appeared, but the number of people who died was more than that of wild beasts. On this day, Hua Kai handed his 3 times water margin to his teacher. Zheng Shen Sage would carefully teach him every time, which made him unknowingly make a breakthrough in Confucianism and become a Confucian master. Today, the teacher gave himself instructions and did not let them leave. Hua Kai also sat quietly and listened to what else he had instructed. Yesterday Qin came to the news that Qin Zheng raided Yichu country excessively and killed 5 people in the foundation building of Yichu country. Yichu country escaped north with a group of masters, and Yichu country was destroyed. Zheng Shen Sage said slowly. Hua Kai was shocked when he heard that the king of Qin Zheng was so powerful, and the power of Yichu was not weaker than that of Qin, so it was destroyed in this way. Then the crisis of Qin was lifted and the battle of Yan was also over. Qin Zheng is completely ignoring himself. He makes such a move. It is basically impossible to think about breakthroughs in the future, and Heart's demon will inevitably accompany him in the future. If Qi deviation is a little careless, he died. Everyone's first feeling after hearing this is Qin. The power of the government is followed by deep regret. The foundation building realm is generally not on the battlefield. The foundation building realm on the battlefield has actually made a plan to die. They do their best to kill the enemy regardless of everything. In the end, they create a chance for their family to survive at the cost of their own lives, but they can get there. At this stage, most of the foundation building environment is old and there is no possibility of promotion. The foundation building environment is the top existence in this world, but Heavenly Dao's restrictions on them are also huge. The entire Jixia Academy was discussing Qin Zheng's destruction of Yichu Kingdom. Many great families in Yichu Kingdom went north to the grassland with their core combat power. This will leave Qin Kingdom's future troubles. On May 9, 392, Qin State occupied the capital of Yichu State. The entire southern core area of Yichu State became Qin's territory, and the area of Qin State nearly doubled. Occupying the entire southern part of Yichu State, Qin Zheng gathered all the prisoners of war and the people of Yichu State and began to build the Great Wall in the north. This move also shocked the world. Qin's cavalry is not strong. The northern part of Yiku's country is full of vast grasslands, and there is no city to build defenses. Qin knew that entering the grasslands would never be an opponent of the allied forces of the countries in the grasslands, and began to organize a defensive battle. The countries in the Central Plains can't help but worry. The power of the Qin state has been demonstrated. Now that there is no Yichu state to contain them, the Qin state has already started to build the Wanli city wall in the north, so where will they look next? The most worried thing is Wei Guo, who has always regarded Qin as his number one opponent for so many years. If the other party vacates his hand, is it to solve himself the next one? Therefore, as soon as the Qin state occupied Yichu state, Wei state put aside the contradiction with South Korea and sent envoys to such powerful countries as Chu state and Zhao state. I hope everyone will continue to unite to resist Chang Qin. However, Qin's approach was beyond everyone's expectations. He actually sent envoys to Wei, Zhao, Chu and other countries, hoping to establish an alliance with each other, so that everyone will get along well in the future. Although many of Qin Zheng's attitudes say that Qin cannot be allowed to be strong, no one in the world is willing to jump out to oppose Qin first, so the Central Plains countries are strangely calm. In July, the Qin state organized millions of civilians and prisoners of war to build the North Great Wall. Because the drought has not passed, Qin's food shortages are serious, and the civilians in the north are starving everywhere. The world is shocked by the indifference of Qin Zheng. Zhao and Wei are on the side to save the domestic famine, while starting to build the Great Wall in the northern part of the country. The state of Qin blocked the grassland countries, so in the future, should the tribes invade the Central Plains, do they have to find a breakthrough from their own country? Only by establishing the northern defense line can they have the energy to deal with the possible battle of the seven heroes in the future. In the end, only Yan state was still fighting with the East Hu coalition forces for 2 years, and the entire Yan state's combat power was almost exhausted. No one expected the situation to reach this point. In August, it has been more than 3 years since Hua Kai came to Jixia Academy. Hua Mo had already entered Jixia Academy last year. Now there are 8 Chinese students in Shengjiuan and they are discussing Qin Guoxia. One possible offensive direction. Some people think that Qin Zheng's target will be Wei, and some say it is South Korea. Hua Kai has studied Qin Zheng a lot recently and found that his wisdom will definitely target Wei, South Korea, and even Chu. The drought in Qin was more serious than other countries. After occupying Yichu Nation, they obtained a large amount of food and livestock, which led to the preservation of Qin's combat power. The main purpose of building the Great Wall in the north is to consume the remnant forces of Yichu country, so that Qin can quickly complete the rule of Yichu country and quickly transform the land into strength. I think Qin Zheng will definitely not stop offensive. Qin is still in short supply. The 400,000 coolie who built the Great Wall in the north has died in 3 months. Tens of thousands have died in 3 months. Was exhausted by them. Hua Zan said, coming to Jixia Academy, everyone is getting more and more familiar with the general trend of the world, and they are already able to express their own opinions. I think the Qin State Council took the lead in attacking South Korea. South Korea is in the hinterland of the Central Plains. Many medium-sized countries have been oppressed by South Korea all the year round. If Qin occupies South Korea, Central Plains Zhou, Zheng, Wei, Chen and other countries will not be able to stop Qin's footsteps. Most of the land in the Central Plains will be under the rule of Qin. Hua Mo said. I also agree with Hua Mo's view that this time the anti-Qin South Korea has the loudest voice. Although South Korea is strong, most of them belong to the King of Han. Their population is the smallest of the 7 hegemons, and they are the easiest to capture. Chu state contacts. As long as Chu state can be suppressed, Qin state will be invincible. Shui Chen said at this time. Hua Kai also agreed with Shui Chen's point of view. Now that Qin is in the position, attacking South Korea is the wisest choice. After occupying Wei or Jiao, he has to face more pressure from the grasslands. But Hua Kai felt that Qin Zheng would not do this. At this time, Meng Yunfei came to the number 2 Shengzhiyuan, and he told King Hua Kaichi that he had issued another calling order. Qi state issued the convening order for the third time in 4 years, and this is the biggest one. All aristocratic families, and civilians are required to actively join the army to help Yan Guo drive the East Hu coalition forces out of the Central Plains. All families asked to bring their own food and grass, and the king of Qi personally took charge of the whole country of Qi to help Yan. If there are insufficient troops to cancel the title of family, the active participants in response to the order will double their contributions, and those who have enough family power will be called, and the military merits will be calculated according to the family. This is all about helping Yan with the power of the whole country. Hua Kai knew that King Qi was most worried about Qin. Although Qi and Qin had no contact, there was no direct conflict between the two parties, but if the damage to Yan was too great this time, it's not a good thing for Qi. At the same time, King Qi's calling order only looked at the power of the call. This was a precursor to the reorganization of the Qi family. Some weak families may become ordinary families, many families will face relegation, and some powerful ordinary families Yushihia will take this opportunity to build meritorious services, and the family level will be promoted. The King Qi issued the convening order and soon passed the entire Qi country, and many aristocratic families had to open the door that had been closed for a long time. Many counties have begun to send troops to drive out refugees. This time all families have to participate in the calling order. Not only do they have to prepare the food and grass for the family's expedition, they also worry about the defense of the refugees after the family's core forces are gone. It can be said that Qi state is in extremely difficult circumstances to summon national strength to go to Yan state to support. Even if the battle is won, the internal losses of Qi state will be very large. 38%. Chapter 214 Sage Q and Amp, A. At the beginning of August, the King Qi issued a convening order, requiring all counties to join Leling City on the first day of September. Only then did everyone know that the country of Yan had already returned to Leling City of Qi, and that it had belonged to Shenggu County. A new part of the land such as Yangjun has been allocated to Qi state. This time, the price of Yan state's full support from Qi state is not small. In the evening, Hua Kai learned from the family secret realm space that the Qi family had sent the calling order to the Hua family, and all families in Guangxian County had received the calling order from the Qi family. I think this is an opportunity. Today, our Hua family has reached 47 auras, and the number of pneumatic personnel has exceeded 1,000. If it hadn't been for Shantian, we would be no weaker than a Cheng Yao's family. This time, Qi state will do its best to support Yan state. The East Hu coalition is definitely not an opponent. If King Qi personally takes the command of our Hua family, we will be able to make a great contribution. Hua Zichen has been fighting in Yan state for almost 2 years, no one in the family knows better than him. With the current situation in Yan state, everyone nodded involuntarily after he finished speaking. If the Hua family caravan speeds up, it will not be a problem to go home in 20 days. When the Hua family leads all the affiliated forces, it will surely surprise all the Qi family members. When the war is over, the Qi family will at least distribute the city to Guangxian. We can do it. Hua Xing also agreed to send troops with all his strength. Let's talk about the situation at home. If we fight with all our strength, how many troops can be produced at home? We must consider the safety of the family after the main combat force leaves. Hua Kai asked his uncle Hua Zawan. If the caravan comes back, we will be able to produce at least 40 Qi practicing realm, 800 pneumatic realm, and Kaiyuan realm more than 8,000. In the past few years, you have handed over 500 golden silk soft armor to the family. We can form one. There are 500 elite light cavalry. There are more than 20,000 refugees outside Wahiabao. We can organize tens of thousands of militias, so that we can form an army of 20,000, which does not include affiliated families. Hua Zawan thought about it. Speaking of, no one thought that the Hua family was so strong that if the affiliated powers were counted, the Hua family could at least form a huge army of 30,000 people, but what about the Han family and the Li family now? Together, they may not even be able to form a 1,000-man team. So, Tell all affiliated families and villages to fully respond to the order of the King of Qi and try to bring the Yang and Zhuang refugees in Guangxian County. Leaving them is a hidden danger. All the food families who are going to expedition are responsible. Hurry up and make arrangements from tomorrow. The business group went home as soon as possible. By the way, Uncle Wu, do you still have no sense of breakthrough? Hua Kai asked. It has been more than 3 years since Hua Zichen entered the Qi training realm and Zouchen, but now that his 3 attributes are ascension a lot, he has been unable to enter the Shantian realm for a long time. I feel fast. I will have more rest after this war is over. There are wars in Yan country every month, which is very detrimental to the breakthrough Shantian realm. Hua Zichen said sadly. The Shantian realm pays attention to nourishing the heart. Hua Zichen has been to Yan country for nearly 2 years. Every time he meets Hua Kai family secret realm space, his eyes are full of blood. In this state, he is still a Confucian student. A Taoist student is very unfavorable for his perception of the origin of the world. After finishing the conversation with his grandfather and others, Hua Kai went to the crystal column in the family secret realm space and checked the family property panel. Wahiapu, 7 class family. Prosperity, 3,428. Combat power, 2,416. Agriculture, 2,109. Animal husbandry, 478. Commercial, 4,910. Culture, 505. Comprehensive strength, 13,846. Allies, Ordos tribe, 5th rank, Yao family, 7th rank, Lu family, 2nd rank, Sihai Chamber of Commerce, 4th rank. Affiliated forces, Jia family, 9th rank. Hostile forces, Lindsay City BU family, 7th rank, Zhao Guoshan family, 3rd rank. Capital, 52 purple gold coins, 82,043 taels of gold, 67,521 taels of silver, 1023 bone coins. Luck value, 6,598. Portable space, 3 cubic meters. Hua Kai didn't notice when there was another hostile force in the Hua family. The above showed that it was the Tian family of Zhao Guo. Then the remnants of the Tian family who fled from Qi state established a branch in Zhao state. To be systematically evaluated as a hostile force is certainly not the kind of ordinary hatred. If the conflict between the Hua family and the Tian family is really not positive, Hua Kai thought for a long time, and felt that the most likely one was the one given to the Qi king by the Hua family. Bai Shou Dan known by the Tian family. If this is the case, the Hua family must be careful. The Tian family still has the foundation building realm. Hua Kai asked the 5th uncle and grandpa to be careful. If they encounter a sudden attack and hide in the space for the first time, they have not yet dealt with a foundation building family. Ability. After 2 years of full development of Wahia, since the completion of the Shuiyinjian restaurant in Guangxian City and the completion of the livestock market commercial area, Hua Kai began to introduce a variety of new food and wine products, and the family business value began to increase rapidly. Has become the highest of the 6 attributes of the Hua family. In the past few years, Hua Kai has not deliberately let family members enter the family secret realm space trial, but the family's combat power is still breaking through the 2,000 barriers, and the family's comprehensive strength has exceeded 10,000, with prosperity, combat power, agriculture, and commercial value. Both reached the goal of 2,000 points, and now there are 2 subsidiary forces and 1 Shantian realm. This time Qi state did its best to fight in Yan state, and the Hua family affiliated family was very likely to be promoted to the family. Hua Kai did not expect that the final obstacle of the main mission 6 would be in a Shantian realm. This year, the Guangxian business group went home and did not cause much reaction, and all the families focused on being called to fight in the country of Yan. On September 20th, all families in Guangxian gathered together, and the 3 major forces made everyone realize the strength of the Hua family for the first time. As the head of Guangxian County, the Han family only made up 5 Qi training realms to go to Yan Kingdom this year. The politicians who followed them also just made up 3 Qi Qing realms, plus more than 20 affiliated ordinary families, totaling more than 600 people, drove more than 20 horse-drawn carriages to Leling City to join the army of Lindsay City. The Li family was even weaker. He, together with the Lu family, Wang family, and more than a dozen affiliated families, gathered more than 300 people and chose to follow the Hua family. And watching the Wahia lineup made all the forces take a breath. Hua Kai dispatched nearly 10,000 combat power, especially 500 elite cavalry above the aerodynamic level, enough to fight tens of thousands of ordinary troops, plus 10,000 auxiliary troops, with more than 20,000 troops, drove to the north with great strength. The Jia family, Huang family, Ren family, Tai family, etc. who followed the Hua family all sent thousands of troops. More than 80 families formed nearly 20,000 troops to follow the Hua family. It is hard to believe that this is the strength of a ninth-class family. The total military strength of Guangxian City exceeds the feared 40,000 people, which has exceeded the total population of Guangxian 2 years ago. When the Qi family of Lindsay City received the report from the Han family, the entire Lindsay City was shocked and the Qi family was the first time ordered the Hua family to be the head of the Guangxian Army Corps. On September 1st, more than 400,000 troops gathered in Leling City. Among them, Lindsay City had a total force of 150,000. The affiliated 6 counties and 5 counties dispatched more than 20,000 troops. Each of the 11 counties directly under the state of Qi dispatched nearly 10,000 troops. The king of Qi ordered the division of troops to advance to the state of Yan. The Guangxian army was led by the Meng family of Lindsay City on the third route, and as the Chinese army, they went all out to kill the Yan Guodong and Hu coalition forces. Huakai is not worried about the outcome of the war. If King Qi's personal campaign cannot drive away the East Hu coalition forces that have been consumed with the Yan country for more than 2 years, then the Qi family might as well just give up. For the sake of this war, the Qi family has already overwhelmed the national fortune. N.S. Hua Kai has always been concerned about the situation on the battlefield of the Hua family in Jixia Academy. In October, he learned that the Wushu had already joined the Hua family and was relieved that the Meng family, as the commander-in-chief of the Third Route Army, would not let Hua the family suffers. In early October, the country of Yan sent a good news. The army of Qi entered into the country of Yan and fought many times with the East Hu coalition forces. They were victorious. The Guangxian army participated in a battle of more than 100,000 people. The Hua family performed well and killed the East Hu coalition forces, countless. After receiving the news that Qi state is progressing well, the atmosphere in the entire Jixia Academy became a lot more active. On this day, Huakai handed over the last 3 manuscripts of Water Margin to the teacher Zheng Shen Sage. After Zheng read the manuscript, he slowly closed the manuscript and Huakai sat down to listen to the teacher's opinions. Do you know why I want to accept you as a personal disciple? Sage asked. Huakai once thought about this question. The teacher was very attentive to his teaching. He answered all Huakai's questions carefully every time. Zheng Shen would spend more than 4 hours a day specifically mentioning Huakai. I believe that no sage is so good to his students. Be patient. Students don't know. Huakai replied. When I was young, my teacher regarded me as the most likely to break through the holy realm and enter the gods. My teacher took care of me in every possible way. Later Qin Zheng appeared. He did not respect hundreds of families and regarded everything as tools. Under his leadership, Qin gradually became the largest country in the world from a small country. The people of Qin state respected him like a god, and the army implemented the military merit system. More and more powerful in the war. Quote. When Huakai heard this, he knew that Sage was also jealous. He had a lofty status as sage, but he was far behind Qin Zheng. Qin Zheng dared to put himself in the most dangerous position to fight for his fate with the heavens. It is not heavenly Tao, but a more down-to-earth humanity, or the way of own emperors, based on the own family and the country, and treats everything as its opponent. You did not deliberately ascension own realm. I am very pleased. The cultivation process is not so much heaven-defying as heaven-defying, but the final cultivation is actually the self. The chaos in the world is a foregone conclusion, and Qin Zhengruo is the co-owner of the common people. He must suffer from it. His choice to shoot for the Qin state is actually an opportunity given to us by God. If one day the philosophers are not there, you must keep your heart, time will witness everything. Zheng Shen said slowly. Huakai looked at the teacher with a shocked look. He couldn't help but remember the memories of the 100 schools in his previous life. Does King Qin really have the idea of eliminating all the thoughts of the 100 schools? The teacher has clearly sensed that Qin must dominate the world, and will he be the last seed left by the philosophers? Teacher, all thoughts should not be immutable. Only those that are beneficial to the people are good ideas. The right things are not necessarily good. Time will eliminate all unreasonable existence. Hundreds of thoughts have also gone through thousands of thoughts. The year evolution only has today, and we should feel lucky because we are standing on the shoulders of giants. 38%. Chapter 215. Shui Chen, Meng Yunfei and others couldn't understand what Huakai and Zheng Chan were talking about, but they were obviously taken aback when they heard Huakai's words about Zheng Chan. It was incredible that this appeared on Sage. Teached. Your savvy is hard to come by in thousands of years, what I can teach you is almost the same. Don't write novels before you become a giant. Water margin is still handed down, but compared to the Red Chamber Ascension, it's not that big. Read more hundreds of masterpieces, and you won't have to come again if there is nothing to do in the future. Zheng Shen Sage closed his eyes after finishing talking. Hua Kai clearly felt that just now, a powerful force of rules of heaven and earth flashed on the teacher. He was a breakthrough. When Meng Yunfei and others heard this, they thought that Hua Kai had offended Sage. The teacher even said to Hua Kai that he should be taught. It is not easy to say this from Sage. In the past 2 years, following Sage's teachings, everyone's strength ascension is very fast, and they will not be able to come again in the future. Everyone has a trace of regret on their faces. Hua Kai knows that the teacher does not mean not to teach himself, but that he has learned the core foundation of 100 schools of academics, and the effect of further learning is not great. Moreover, the teacher needs to consolidate the cultivation base just after the breakthrough. Disturb. When he got up and was about to leave, Hua Kai felt a sudden itching in his heart. He hasn't probed the teacher's attributes for so long, because he was afraid that the teacher would be guilty of him. Just now he used the essence of his thoughts in his previous life to point him up, and now his attributes should be okay to probe. Thinking of this, Hua Kai could no longer resist the urge in his heart. The moment he got up and left, he chose to check the attributes of the teacher. Participated in Gold Core Realm 4th Floor. Qualification SS+. Physique 70. Strength 76. Will 80. Skill. Loyalty. Except for the 3 attributes, all are question marks, and the teacher is already at the 4th level of the Gold Core Realm. His physique has just passed 70 points, and his willpower is 80 points. This is only one step away from the God of Transformation. As soon as Hua Kai finished investigating the teacher, he saw that the teacher opened his eyes and looked at him. His eyes seemed to have the entire universe, so bottomless. Hua Kai quickly turned his head and pretended that nothing happened. By the way, the state of Qin invites students from academies from all over the world to participate in the student debate meeting at Shenyang Academy in June next year. Then you will prepare, Zheng Shen Sage said. Hua Kai turned around and bowed to express his understanding. He followed Shui Chen, Meng Yunfei and others to leave the palace. Zheng Shen slowly opened his eyes after Hua Kai left. He looked at Hua Kai's departure and showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. There is no secret about which amazing power will be. I hope you can return safely from this trip to Qin State. Hua Kai was out of the palace and his whole body was in a cold sweat. The sun was able to shield True Eye's exploration. For a moment, he felt that he was going to be sucked into the void. The gold core state was not something he could provoke now, impulsively. Dead man. Returning to number 2 Sacred Child Courtyard, Hua Kai began to stay behind closed doors. He began to reread various masterpieces, with new gains every day, especially the Taoist Bible, Tao Te Ching. Taoism is known as the founder of all schools of thought, and the Tao Te Ching, as the most important masterpiece of Taoism, can be said to be the foundation of all schools of thought. Hua Kai, who has devoted himself to the study of the Tao Te Ching, spends most of his time in the dream space of Grand Dream View. Unknowingly his Tao Jing has completed breakthrough and entered Dachang. Now he is a master of novelist, Confucianism, and Taoism, and a master of the 3 academics. This is very rare even among the teachers of Jixia Academy, but Hua Kai is still in a dynamic state without a breakthrough. Hua Kai, I don't care about it. Although he has never broken through to practice aura, nor has he learned any martial skills of the philosophers, but 59 points of willpower makes him not afraid of fighting the late stage of the aura. In fact, he does not need to deliberately cultivation the physique value and vigor value, and he is still dissatisfied now. At the age of 18, if you enter the Qi training state, your body will completely stop growing again. Most people enter the Qi training state before breaking through at the age of 18 or even 20. Hua Kai studied at Jixia Academy with peace of mind, and had time to teach his family students knowledge. Now he is no less knowledgeable than Mr. Jixia Academy. Under such circumstances, the Chinese students have progressed very quickly. At the end of October, the 400,000 troops of the Qi state had penetrated into the northern border of the Yan state, and all the allied troops of the east and whose countries retreated to Lingzi, Zuwu, and Anping. The East Hu coalition forces gathered 100,000 troops here, and the 200,000 coalition forces of Qi and Yan have already battled with each other. This battle will determine the course of this war. The 100,000 East Hu coalition forces burned, killed, robbed elites in the country of Yan for more than 2 years. They saw that the eyes of the people of Yan had become red, and there were countless people of the country of Yan who died in their hands. They stood quietly in the distance, soothing their hip horses, and staring at the Qi and Yan coalition forces ahead. As long as the opponent's battlefield showed a slight flaw, they would have the confidence to magnify the opponent's shortcomings. 100,000 cavalry versus 200,000 infantry and cavalry mixed forces. The advantage is on the cavalry side. Hua Zichen led 500 elite cavalry from the Hua family to stand behind the Qi and Yan coalition forces. This is his experience in fighting against the East Hu army in the past 2 years. Only by placing superior combat power here can he exert greater power. Hua Zichen is in front of the Wahia auxiliary army lineup. He knows that the East Hu cavalry will have no way to get the front line, so he will find a chance to break through from here. Many times, Yan Guo dominated the troops and was defeated by the East Hu allied forces because the auxiliary soldiers were defeated. Caused by dispersal. The drums of war sounded, and everyone slowly moved forward. The East Hu coalition tried to make a strong breakthrough, but failed several times, so they began to concentrate on fighting Qi Yanshuangi. There were many infantrymen in the Qi country and many cavalrymen in the Yan country. Hua Xing watched the thousands of Yan country cavalry rushing from the center to the enemy's formation. The soldiers at the front of the team were obviously in Shantian realm. They broke into the enemy lineup. Among them, several enemy Shantian realms appeared soon, and it seemed that the opponent was planning to leave all the Shantian realms of Yan kingdom. At this time, an old man came out of the Yan state middle formation. He was dressed in white and with a gray beard. He saw that more than a dozen Shantian soldiers appeared at once, and quietly approached the battlefield loyally. The East Hu coalition did not investigate, only that the old man approached the opponent suddenly. When flying, the 3 sword Qi flew out at the same time, and the 3 Donghu Shantian realms were instantly killed, and the old man instantly caught up with the nearest Shantians, and the 6 Donghu allied forces fell in the realm instantly. Seeing several masters of the other side being killed in the Qi and Yan army formations, the Yan's cavalry were so powerful that they all cheered happily. But General Qi and Yan at the front of the lineup looked at the distance with a heavy expression. The old man killed 6 Shantian realms, and other enemy Shantian realms saw this place and all evaded far away. Countless ordinary cavalry all came to him. The old man shouted out several powerful sword Qi in succession and flew out to the enemy. Inflicting hundreds of casualties, a gap quickly appeared in front of the Yan state cavalry, and everyone saw the gap quickly rushing here. The East Hu coalition forces also knew the danger of being broken through. They desperately began to organize more people to make up for themselves, but the old man flew out with 3 consecutive sword Qi, and the East Hu coalition forces were killed and injured again. Everyone saw the old gentleman's face flushed. It was already he burned his own energy. He protected the Yan's cavalry all the way to the enemy's center and back, and finally the lamp was dry and the oil fell from the sky. The East Hu coalition forces rushed to the place where he fell when they saw it, but the Yan state cavalry tried desperately to protect the opponent, and they failed to penetrate the enemy cavalry formation. When the East Hu coalition forces besieged the Yan state cavalry, the Qi state infantry finally came. The Yan state cavalry finally dragged the opponent's cavalry back for them, so that the Qi state infantry could catch up and fight with them. It is necessary to know that the most powerful cavalry is his mobility. 10,000 Yan state cavalry have played a huge role without breaking through the enemy's formation. When the Qi and Yan infantry are all over, the entire East Hu coalition army is completely entangled. On the battlefield of hundreds of thousands of people, a person's role is negligible unless he is above the foundation building. Tens of thousands of cavalry of the East Hu coalition were bidden, and they wanted to eat the Yan state cavalry as soon as possible. Both sides are racing against time to complete the goal tonight. At this time, the Qi and Yan coalition forces continued to press on, and the East Hu coalition forces could only retreat slowly. Seeing that the cavalry of the Wanyan country was about to leave the encirclement circle, more than 20,000 East Hu cavalry rushed out from the back to kill the Qi and Yan army. Qi Yan saw that the cavalry was also separated from the rear line to fight against. Most of the hundreds of thousands of troops engaged in battles were commanded by generals above the foundation building level. They were familiar with this simple military battle, and would hardly appear. Command error. Hua Zichen sat on his horse, and he saw the 10,000 cavalry on the left wing slowly fall in the battle with the Yu Donghu cavalry. A group of Donghu cavalry broke through the entanglement of the Qi state cavalry and rushed towards the Hua family. Everyone prepare. Kill me fiercely later. The prairie soldiers will not surrender on the battlefield. The only way to defeat them is to kill them. It is time for them to see the power of the Chinese cavalry. Follow me, everyone. After waiting for more than 4 hours, the Wahia 500 elite hussars have been waiting in the back formation without taking a shot. This is not the moment. Seeing that they had made breakthroughs in the enemy's cavalry defense, the Donghu cavalry finally came to the enemy's back left. Before they had time to test, they saw a group of cavalry coming from the opponent. The prairie warriors never fear the light cavalry of the Central Plains, because the light cavalry is more capable of equestrian and horse fighting. They grew up on horseback, and one person can play a few Central Plains cavalry. Seeing the enemy kill, the leader of the East Hu cavalry found something wrong. Is the opponent's speed a bit too fast? After only a few breaths, most of the opponent is already less than 100 meters away from him. He has no time to think about it. I saw that the other party had already been killed. Hua Zichen rode Tianlongju and Tang Lei in the forefront. The two of them killed each other's two aerodynamics instantly. Before the opponent's aerospace training captain could react, he was entangled by Tang Lei. The opponent was already seriously injured, and the other cavalry in Donghu couldn't help but fight when they saw this place. 38%. Chapter 216. The Chinese cavalry shows its might and prestige. The Wahia cavalry finally waited until the enemy sent it to the door. The cavalry squad chasing the enemy tentatively was a chase. When the surrounding East Hu coalition saw that Qi Yan's army suddenly appeared such a brave group, they all pressed in the direction of the Hua family. They were not afraid. Central Plains light cavalry. Everyone in the Hua family couldn't help but smile when they saw this place. They rushed forward to fight with each other. More than 30 Hua family's Qi training realms suddenly appeared, and within a few minutes hundreds of Donghu cavalry were killed. As the rest of the cavalry of the Hua family caught up, the Donghu cavalry fell off as if they were cut leak. At this time, someone finally shouted, "They are not light cavalry." The heavy cavalry is not afraid of ordinary attacks. Although the Wahia cavalry wears light armor, everyone has golden silk and soft armor, and the defense is much stronger than the average heavy cavalry. Hundreds of Chinese cavalrymen are riding BMWs, and their speed and defense are much stronger than those of the East Hu cavalry. They can't fight or run, which makes the East Hu allied forces extremely desperate. Hua Zichen led the Hua family's 500 cavalrymen and didn't know how many East Hu cavalrymen were killed. He only felt that all the East Hu cavalrymen saw that they had begun to retreat. Festival retreat. With the rise of mass killings in the Hua family, other Qi state cavalry saw this place rushing together behind the Hua family. They wanted to expand their advantages. The greater the advantage here, the less pressure in other places. This is the case for large-scale battles. Victory is one by one. The small advantages are accumulated. Wang Donghu is here, someone shouted at this moment. Donghu King cavalry is the most elite cavalry in the East Hu kingdom. They are directly under the Donghu King. The number is only 3,000, but they are the most terrifying existence on the grassland. Everyone in this cavalry rides the best horses. Even the most ordinary soldiers are cultivation bases above the aerodynamic level. Each cavalry wears a simple golden armor. This armor alone is worth 1,000 taels of gold. Donghu the king spent countless in order to form this cavalry. When everyone heard this, they all avoided. They had already mobilized Donghu Wangqi out, which is already very good. Now how to grasp the advantage of Donghu Wangqi's appearance on the left wing, it depends on the coach. The king of Qi has an order, try to delay King Donghu's pace to return to aid. A messenger arrived, but said to Hua Zichen. Although Hua Zichen did not enter Shantian, nearly 10 Shantian people have died in his hands in the past few years, and his status in the barracks is no lower than any Shantian people. Everyone is scattered, don't confront them head-on. Hua Zichen commanded loudly. The light cavalry is completely little brother in front of the heavy cavalry. A charge light cavalry can't hold it at all. After the Qi state cavalry dispersed, the Donghu King cavalry killed them. They also found that the reason for the heavy damage to their right-wing front was the 500 in front of them. Light cavalry around people. Hua Zichen saw a 1,000-man heavy armored cavalry squad in front of him, and all the cavalry horses under the hips were tall, and he knew that they were not ordinary products. Thousands of people from the other side rushed towards him, and he quickly organized the Hua family to retreat. While retreating, Shui Pan glanced at several of his companions around him, and suddenly a few people realized that they were deliberately frantic when retreating and walked in the team. At the end, several Donghu Wangqi saw a few people rushing up here. When they were about to catch up with the Hua family, they suddenly discovered that the Hua family had stopped horse stance. A flying arrow flew to the front one of the Chi training stage heavy rider. The other party had not yet realized that the arrow had hit the neck, and the true Chi that directly broke through him pierced his throat, and waited for him to fall behind him. Only then did the person react, but several of the Hua family's Chi training realm had already been killed. Shui Pan continued to shoot with 3 arrows to kill one of the opponent's aura and 2 aerodynamics. The Hua family only made such a contact and made Donghu Wangqi lose 5 elites. They have Shantian level marksmen. Everyone, be careful. Only Shantian level marksmen who can shoot directly at the training realm. They didn't expect Shui Pan to have such strength by relying on treasure weapon. Donghu Wangqi, a 1,000-man team general, is in Shantian realm. Donghu Wangqi is not afraid of any Shantian. They begin to integrate their formation and slowly approach the Wahia cavalry. It is not the first time that Hua Zichen has fought against Donghu Wangqi. He ordered all people keep their distance from Donghu Wangqi. 5th, are we too awkward to fight like this? They may not necessarily be our opponents if we really want to rush. Hua Xing came to the younger son and said, King Qi's order is to hold the opponent. It would be better for us to complete the task without fighting each other. Even if we win against the opponent, we will lose a lot. As long as we have patience, they will show flaws sooner or later. Hua Zichen said to his father. Hua Zichen is now more and more like a general, speaking more and more majestic in the barracks. In the past few years, I applied for the family twice and spent most of the time on the battlefield. The analysis of small-scale operations and battlefields has become more and more in place. Everyone also obeyed his command and kept their distance from King Donghu. The opponent chased them quickly and they ran fast, and the opponent slowed down and they also slowed down, just refusing to fight them head-to-head. After chasing for more than 10 minutes, Donghu Wangqi also seemed to know that the speed of heavy riding and light riding was unrealistic. The appearance of the Wahia cavalry was obviously trying to drag themselves, so they turned their horses around and ignored the people of the Hua family. They chose to give up entanglement with the Hua family. How could Hua Zichen agree with Donghu Wangqi to leave like this? Donghu Wangqi ignored them. They didn't think the 500-man light cavalry dared to move them. Hua Zichen saw that he was 10 meters away from the opponent and still had no response, so Shui Pan came up and shot the opponent. Donghu Wangqi discovered that Shui Pan was not in the Shantian realm. The Shantian realm attack technique was completely different from the Qi training realm. Shui Pan shot an aerodynamic heavy cavalry with an arrow, and the heavy cavalry fell to the ground. The entire Donghu king was in a commotion after riding. He shot another arrow, and another aerodynamic heavy cavalry was seriously injured and fell off his horse. Donghu Wangqi couldn't help it anymore. All the cavalry stopped and began to concentrate on dealing with the Wahia cavalry. Hua Zichen saw this place continue to leave the opponent's attack range, standing in the distance and looking at the opponent like this, even if the opponent was anxious. Any solution? Seeing this entanglement, Donghu Wangqi was only consuming time. He once again chose to turn his horse's head and kill him at the center of the battlefield. The Donghu central front was at a disadvantage now. Hua Zichen was by Shui Pan's side, and Shui Pan had already shot several people. It is extremely rare to train a sharpshooter, especially for sharpshooters above the Qi level, which is very scarce in every country. Seeing Donghu Wangqi retreating faster, their front and back formations are very open. The Wahia cavalry sees here and hurries to catch up, seeming to want to take another bite of meat from the opponent. Donghu Wangqi began to be overtaken by the Wahia cavalry. If they really want to retreat so forcefully, they will inevitably suffer huge losses. Suddenly dozens of Donghu kings rode back to kill the Wahia cavalry. Everyone in the Hua family was happily chasing and killing them. They didn't care about the dozens of people from the other side. But when the other side was fighting with the Wahia cavalry, all were fleeing. The Donghu Wangqi suddenly stopped, and the Wahia cavalry found that the dozens of opponents were actually in the Qi training state. Kill! Hua Xing shouted and killed him. Last year, he took gold body pill and became the second person in the Hua family to comprehend the will of gold after Hua Zichen. A Qi realm Donghu Wangqi was killed by him. Even the man's armor pierced through. Everyone in the Hua family saw all of them here, and even if they were all in the Qi training realm, they were confident that they would eat them all in a short time. The killing sounded everywhere, and people on both sides continued to fall off their horses. At this time Donghu Wangqi saw that they all stopped here. They turned and started to kill the Wahia cavalry. As long as their masters entangled the other side, they would have confidence in the light cavalry team in front of them. 'Cause a devastating blow. Speaking of complexity, it only took a few breaths. The Wahia cavalry surrounded more than 40 heavy cavalry of the opponent's aura and quickly besieged them. They also knew that waiting for the opponent's large troops to kill themselves would be dangerous. At this time, a military commander with a gold armor covering his whole body and riding a solid-colored BMW under his crotch brought more than 100 cavalry soldiers to the Hua's family quickly. Boom. The first time the two sides played against Hua Xingmingyu spear with full power, he was not his opponent. He was shocked. If it weren't for his understanding of Jin's will, he would definitely be injured. The flame horse neighed and retreated more than 10 steps before stopping, and the opponent's military commander also took 3 steps back. The opponent's military commander did not expect that an aura training realm could take his full strength to kill. Be careful, the other party has Shantian realm. Hua Xing shouted loudly. Hearing this, Hua Zichen hurriedly turned his horse's head and rushed towards the enemy general. He also felt that the opponent should be considered a strong person in the Shantian realm, and he had been fighting until now that he wanted to eat all the Wahia cavalry. Donghu Wangqi saw that their generals were already facing the enemy, and he split out more than 300 horses from the left and right to rush towards the 2 wings of the Wahia cavalry. This was about to begin to encircle. Hua Zichen knew that it was not the time to hide his strength. He clamped his legs on the horse and rushed towards the enemy military commander with all his strength. Babao knight armor, all the boosts were turned on, and a creamy white light from silver spear flashed on. As soon as the general Donghu Wangqi stabilized his body, he saw a young general full of silver armor killing him. Donghu general did not dare to be careless. He rode toward Hua Zichen to kill, but he felt something was wrong in the first fight. The opponent's Jin Ji was very strong, and his armor and true Qi couldn't completely resist it. The first time they fought against each other, Hua Zichen is completely dominant. Hua Zichen also knew that Haoran righteousness could not be used for a long time, and the Zochin level splitting gun kept using it, and the opposing opponent couldn't lift his head for a while. When Hua Xing saw here, he came up from the side as well, and the two attacked each other together, just to win a chance for the Wahia cavalry behind him. Seeing that King Donghu's 2-winged cavalry was about to complete the encirclement of the Wahia cavalry, Hua Zichen saw that he was heartbroken. He completely ignored the opponent's attack and rushed towards the opponent, suffering a heavy blow from the opponent's long spear thrust. Haoran righteousness entered the opponent's body at the same time. 38%. Chapter 217. Hua Zichen's ability to kill Shantian many times in the battlefield is inseparable from his Haoran righteousness. Nawu Shantian was hit by Hua Zichen, and there was nothing in the beginning. After the 3 moves, he felt a strange energy begin to wreak havoc in his body. Tianlongju, seeing that the opponent's actions became slow, he began to attack the opponent's horse. Hua Zichen resisted the pain in his body and continued to kill the opponent, knocking down the opponent. Everyone in the Hua family saw how this opportunity could be missed here, and several Qi training realms immediately switched their combat targets to the sacked Donghu martial general, and soon he was besieged to death by several Qi training realms. This Donghu general was originally a rare master in the Shantian realm, and he didn't want to be besieged and killed by the Chinese family. Hua Zichen took out a rejuvenation pill from his arms and hurriedly took it. He saw that Donghu Wangqi was about to complete the encirclement and ordered everyone to follow him to charge. Originally, Donghu Wangqi had only 1,000 men, and he lost part of his chasing Wahia cavalry. At this time, dozens of Qi training troops were about to die in battle. More than 600 cavalry went to outflank the 2 wings, and there were fewer than 300 cavalry in front. The Wahia cavalry was desperate to charge Donghu Wangqi, and saw that Donghu Wangqi continued to fall in front. Their weapons stabbed the Chinese cavalry, but the feeling of weapons entering the flesh did not appear. Everyone in the Hua family was the same as the other heavy cavalry. Regardless of defense, a few breaths smashed the opposing 200 heavy cavalry. Hua Zichen watched that everyone in the Hua family had escaped from the encirclement, stopped, and Ma quietly looked at the rear. Donghu King cavalry looked at the Wahia cavalry from a distance, and for the first time they seriously looked at On's opponent. The strength of the Wahia cavalry was not weaker than that of Donghu King cavalry. Now his own generals are dead. They have injured more than 200 people in the previous battle, while the Wahia cavalry will not damage more than 30. Donghu Wangqi knows that he has met his opponent today. The Wahia cavalry also looked at each other quietly. Now they have all the advantages on their side. After they are out of the surroundings of the other side, it is impossible for the other side to catch up with them. Everyone can eat the other side little by little as long as they entangle the other side. Don't look at the other side. They are heavy cavalry, but when it comes to defense and attack, the Wahia cavalry surpasses them several times, and their task is just to pester each other. The Chinese cavalry watched the opponent standing still, and sent someone up to continue the provocation. The opponent is worthy of being the Donghu trump card, watching the Wahia cavalry unmoved. Shui Pan stepped forward and shot the opponent with a bow and arrow. The opponent just sent a few remaining aerodynamics to defend the periphery. He has been entangled for more than an hour. Shui Pan shot and killed more than 20 opponents and wounded more than 40 opponents. Donghu Wangqi organized to chase several times, but they did not dare to separate too far. If they were consumed like this, they would have to be consumed to death. Hua Zichen saw that Shui Pan's arms had become red and swollen when he shot 100 arrows, so he let him go to rest. As long as the opponent did not leave, he would not go forward and pursue. The two sides seemed to have a tacit understanding, and both stopped waiting for the result of the battle between the two sides. In the central battlefield, over 10,000 elite cavalrymen of the state of Yan have been killed or injured, but all the infantrymen of the state of Qi have fought with the East Hu coalition forces. People on both sides continue to die in the battle, and the victory gradually shifts to the side of the Qian coalition forces. The Qian coalition army slowly began to gain an advantage on the battlefield. At this time, a 2,000-man Donghu Wangqi rushed away from the enemy army. They rushed to the coalition army to stop before they stopped and almost took the entire Qian coalition army. The middle formation rushed through, and the casualties of Qi Yan's army exceeded 10,000, which shows the strength of Donghu Wangqi. 2,000 Donghu Wangqi killed for so long and was surrounded by Qi Yan's army in the center. It was as difficult to advance as the 10,000 elites of the Yan kingdom. At this time, more than 20 Shantian masters in Qi Yan's lineup came from all quarters to support them. Donghu Wangqi quickly harvested their lives in the lineup. Donghu Wangqi didn't charge up. Facing the Shantian realm masters was not his opponent at all. At this time, a figure flew out from the direction of Lin Hu's army. He was the commander-in-chief of the Donghu coalition army this time, and the strongest man in the Donghu grassland Tunguska. If the East Hu coalition forces want to come back, they can only pin their hopes on this 2,000-man heavy cavalry. King Donghu wants to help his own heavy cavalry to defeat the Qian coalition forces. This is also desperate. But compared to the foundation building, Qi Yan's side was more numerous. The 3 foundation buildings flew out from Qi Yan and headed for King Donghu. The situation on the battlefield has completely turned to Qi Yan's side. Hua Zichen watched the East Hu coalition forces continue to be killed. How could the East Hu coalition cavalry without a concentrated advantage be the opponent of the Qi state infantry? Slowly the entire battlefield began to move to the East Hu coalition side, and the speed was getting faster and faster. The Qian coalition forces also knew that victory was in sight. They began to fight with each other desperately. Donghu Wangqi, who was confronting the Wahia cavalry, couldn't stand it anymore, and they slowly began to retreat. Hua Zichen led the Hua Zhongqi hurried to keep up, fighting the other side without letting go. When Donghu Wangqi saw this place, he had to stop and turn around to support. At this time, someone began to shout, "Donghu King has escaped." How could King Donghu be opponents with 1 enemy and 3? He saw that defeat was determined to begin to escape. The entire Qian army saw the killing here, and the East Hu coalition forces had begun to rout. Donghu Wangqi, who was at war with the Wahia cavalry, couldn't take care of that much when he saw this place. They quickly split up several teams and fled, and all the teammates behind the team have been abandoned. When it was time to obtain the fruits of victory, the Wahia cavalry left a few people to clean up the battlefield. Those Wahia cavalry who died in battle must be gathered together. The golden silk soft armor on their bodies cannot be taken away by others. More than 400 Chinese cavalry began to disperse into dozens of troops. They tried their best to contain the East Hu coalition cavalry who fled. Soon the East Hu coalition army became a debacle. The entire war lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. The East Hu coalition fled for more than 300 miles and then stopped. In this battle, the Qian coalition killed more than 30,000 people and injured more than 50,000. It defeated 100,000 East Hu coalition forces and killed the other side. There were more than 40,000 people, and less than 20,000 East Hu coalition forces were able to withdraw from the battlefield. The total number of people killed in the Hua family was more than 4,000. Among them, 7 were in the Qi training realm, 68 were in the aerodynamic realm, and the remaining main combat force was more than 600. More than 10,000 refugees died, more than 3,000. Only the 500 elite cavalry of the Hua family killed more than 50 people, but at the same time the results achieved were amazing. More than 2,000 Donghu coalition forces died in their hands, especially those 1,000 Donghu king cavalry, because the Wahia cavalry blocked all of them in the end. The Wahia killed one Shantian realm, and more than 40 Qi practice realms. The aerodynamic environment was nearly 1,000, which left a deep impression on Qi Yan's family. Having lost most of their troops, the East Hu coalition forces no longer have the courage to continue fighting with the Qian coalition forces. They began to retreat northward with the food, property, and population plundered from the Yan kingdom. Even though there are more than 50,000 East Hu coalition forces in the northern border of the Yan kingdom, it will take some time for the Qian coalition forces to drive them all away. In the second year of the drought, the food in all parts of the Central Plains has almost been eaten, especially since Qi state gathered all the elites to fight to take away most of the food this time. The whole Qi state began to riots. News has come from Donglai County and Chungyang County that the county town has been broken by mobs. All family residences have been breached by mobs. All men, women and children in the house have been killed, and the entire county town has been looted by mobs. There were also 100,000 refugees besieging the capital in Langxi. Although the victory of Yan's war was in sight, the Qi problem became more serious. Hua Zichen attended the military meeting held by King Qi on behalf of Guangxian City. He could not help sighing when he knew the current situation of Qi. All counties in the Qi state have already eaten almost all the food they brought from their homes. Now that the East Hu coalition forces have robbed all the food in the northern border of Yan, it is no longer possible to collect food on the spot. In addition to the civil riots in Qi, the king of Qi had to agree to let some families who wanted to go home return to Qi first. He was also afraid that the mob could not suppress the domestic situation becoming more and more serious. As Wang Qi just spoke, many aristocratic families stated that they had no surplus food and must go home. Some families had already been breached by the victims, and they would definitely not be able to stop here. In 3 days, more than 30 soldiers of the Qi State Army, which had just experienced a big victory, began to withdraw and return home, leaving more than 100,000 troops to help Yan State continue to clear the remaining East Hu allied troops. If the 400,000 army can sweep forward from south to north, it can be completed in 3 months at most if the 50,000 cavalry of the East Hu coalition is driven out, but now there are only 100,000 people, and there is no absolute advantage in military strength. Unable to talk about it, I don't know how long this battle will last before it ends. The Han family, the Li family, and their affiliated families all chose to return to Guang County. The Hua family and more than 80 affiliated families have all survived. They now have a combined strength of 30,000, making them the most powerful family in the left-behind family. When Hua Kai heard the good news from Yan Guo at Jixia Academy, he couldn't be happy in his heart. The drought has lasted for 2 years, and this winter will be the most difficult. The situation in the world will only become increasingly chaotic. Under such circumstances, various contradictions in various countries will be infinitely expanded. This winter, countless people without food to eat will be starved to death. By next year, the civilian population in Qi will have a few percent left. Entering November, the main force of the Hua family was still fighting the East Hu coalition forces in Yanguaoking. Because Guangxian City already had a sound refugee management method, with the continuous food support of the Hua family, no refugees could provoke a riot. The Hua family, who is picking things up, will not deal with it without hesitation. The goods brought back by the family from the Zongnu country for business have been sold. The entire Wahiapu and even Guangxian are still in the old rhythm of life. Compared with other counties, life is in 2 different worlds. Since the Qin state destroyed Yichu state and overhauled the Great Wall in the north, it has not made any major moves. Just when everyone thought that Xinjiang would focus on the domestic drought, news came from Qin state again in November, kindling a middle-level demonic beast's jade rabbit in the mountains was beheaded by Xinjiang. Intermediate demonic beasts are equivalent to the existence of the 7 lords and sage level. In this era when there are no big demons, the intermediate demonic beasts is the most apex of demonic beasts. It is very difficult to kill the opponent in a battle of equal strength. Moreover, demonic beasts can still explode in inner alchemy when their lives are threatened. The only person who can kill the intermediate demonic beasts alone has been Xinjiang for thousands of years. 38%. Chapter 218 Student Debate Competition. At the beginning of November, it was heard that Xinjiang killed the intermediate demonic beast's jade rabbit. Jixia Academy students were still discussing how strong Xinjiang was. At the end of the month, Qin also reported that Qin Zheng killed the intermediate demonic beasts. Golden Rhinoceros Dragon Python. This shows that Qin Zheng has the strength to crush the intermediate demonic beasts. Qin Zheng has become a topic of discussion for everyone. Everyone thinks that Qin Zheng killed the intermediate demonic beasts to reduce his own karma. If there are too many killings, the foundation building can use closed-door training to meditate or kill demonic beasts to dilute his own karma. Hua Kai felt that Uncle Wu's failure to break through may also be the reason why he stayed on the battlefield for too long. When the war is over, he must rest at home for a few years. Qin Zheng's killing of the intermediate demonic beasts not only weakens his own karma, but also diverts domestic attention, allowing Qin to survive the drought crisis. There are countless herds of animals in the Qinling Mountains that can make up for part of the food pressure of Qin. This is multitasking method. In the winter of Wangong's 392, all the disaster victims outside the city of Qi were everywhere. The family in the city could only close the gates and watch the wild beasts and the victims fight outside. All the porridge sheds inside and outside the city have been revoked, and people who died of starvation appeared everywhere. However, in Jixia Academy, no one has ever discussed these topics. Everyone is only concerned about the situation of the Qi State Army in Yan State, and what demonic beasts Qin Zheng killed recently. The porridge shed in Guangxian City has been opened 2 years ago and has never been closed. All the victims have been concentrated in the refugee camps. There are more than 30 refugee camps in Guangxian City. The Chinese family is now being managed by different affiliated forces. The disaster does not seem to have a great impact on the people here. There are still various workshops open in Guangxian County in winter. As long as you are diligent, you will never starve to death. Han Shu sat in his own study with a melancholy face. Since the Hua family entered Guangxian City, his mood has never been better. Many aristocratic families in Linzi City envied the growing prosperity of Guangxian City in the past 2 years. He didn't know how to respond after hearing this, because all this seemed to have nothing to do with the Han family, and as time went on, the Han family's sense of existence became more and more prosperous. The younger he came, and now he found that he couldn't do anything. Especially when Guangxian City was called this year, when he saw that the troops who followed the Hua family had reached more than 40,000, he knew that the days of the Han family becoming the Lord of Guangxian were coming to an end. The Hua family's performance in the Yan Kingdom battlefield was better than the Han family's performance. This time he led the soldiers to retreat back home halfway. The families that were originally affiliated with the Han family have also begun to wink at the Hua family, even the politician. In a few days, I started to contact the Hua family. Han Shu couldn't help thinking what would happen if he married his daughter Han Xin to the Hua family at that time. If the Hua family must still be affiliated with OWN, then everything now belongs to the Han family. Master, the housekeepers of the Han mansion shouted outside. Come in. How is the matter handled? Han Shu sighed and said. It is still possible for the Han family to maintain the status of the 7th grade family this time, but there is basically no hope for continuing to be the Lord of Guangxian. I have already used the relationship of the Han family in Linzi City to operate, but in the end I have to follow the king's attitude. Whispered. Kill the Hua family out of Guangxian. What is the attitude of the great families in Linzi City? Han Shu asked. It's not very likely. The butler replied. The war of the Yan Kingdom will be over for a while, and we still have a chance. No matter what the price is, as long as the Hua family can leave the city of Guangxian, we may still regain what we lost. Han Shu said in a deep voice. I see, sir. The butler withdrew. At the beginning of Huangong 393, Jixia Academy issued a notice that Qin invited students from all over the world to participate in the debate meeting at Shenyang Academy in June this year. The student who won the first place will receive a Lingbao class inkstone. Every piece of Lingbao is precious to a country, and the state of Qin will give out a piece of Lingbao as a reward, which makes everyone involuntarily moved. Legend has it that all spirit treasures are formed after years of accumulation in the gold core realm. Each spirit treasure has the effect of suppressing family luck. Huakai's Baoguang glass bottle is just a treasure, not bad. Not on the spirit weapon. Everyone was enthusiastic when they heard this, but when they heard the registration conditions of Jixia Academy, many people couldn't help but shook their heads. Everyone can accept the above conditions for students, but it is not an embarrassment to require students to be under 35 years old. Many students are over 60 years old. Even among the 20 students in the academy, few are under 35 years old. This cut off the thinking of a large number of people. At the beginning of February, Jixia Academy began to conduct a public assessment of more than 30 students who signed up. In the end, only 9 students were selected. Many students from the academy were ashamed to watch the performance of the debate hall of the academy. There are countless geniuses in the academy, but people rarely pay attention to it. Huakai was also notified to participate in the debate held by the state of Qin. For this reason, they were arranged to listen to the debate skills of several famous experts and the thoughts and theories of several old academics, but these were of no use to Huakai. These teachers talk about some basic things. To use these to compete for Qin's spiritual treasure rewards will not be very useful. At the end of March, Jixia Academy was still discussing about participating in the Qin State Debate Conference. A sudden news shocked everyone. In early February, Qin sent tens of thousands of elites to the 2 countries of Bashu. Qin Zheng shot and killed the kings of Ba and Shu. It only took 1 month for the 2 countries to be completely occupied by Qin. In this case, the land of Qin was overtaken. The kingdom of Chu has become the largest country in the world. Bashu is rich in grain, and it is regarded as the big granary of Qin state. The whole Qin state's grain shortage is no longer a problem. Everyone can't believe that Qin state will send troops to Bashu. 800 Li Qinchuan is not a joke. Only then did someone remember Qin Zheng's killing of kindling demonic beasts last year. Hua Kai was also shocked by the shock. He has experienced how difficult it is for kindling to walk. Even without demonic beasts blocking it, it would be a crazy move for tens of thousands of troops to cross kindling. No one could think of Qin Zheng's purpose in killing demonic beasts. To pass the kindling mountains. The population of Bashu and Sichuan is several times larger than that of Qin, and it is so easy to be occupied by Qin. Everyone is scolding the incompetence of the 2 families of Bashu, and at the same time, there is a trace of anxiety in their hearts. With the establishment of the Great Wall in the north in 1991, the national power will inevitably increase. Then, how should Qin, whose land area has increased several times, face his neighbors? The state of Qin occupied the 2 countries of Bashu in one fell swoop, and the biggest shock was none other than the state of Chu. The 2 countries of Bashu were originally affiliated to the state of Chu. The Four Seas Chamber of Commerce brought back countless spiritual objects for the state of Chu every year in Bashu and Sichuan. However, after the Qin state occupied Bashu, all of these would not exist in the future. The state of Chu had to start increasing troops to the northwest. Qin state didn't care about this. The 2 countries had been fighting for hundreds of years, and he knew that Chu state would not fight for Bashu and himself. Wei, South Korea, and Zhao also started to make preparations. While they were overhauling the fortress on the border with Qin, they also repaired it with neighboring countries. Now that the drought has not passed, the people of the world can't even eat, and there is still energy to fight, everyone. They have begun to pay attention to their own domestic development. Whoever can recover faster after the drought will have the absolute initiative in the future. On this day, Hua Kai was discussing with 9 students who were going to Qin State with him to participate in the debate meeting. Suddenly seeing the sky start to become gloomy, everyone was shocked and walked out of the great hall. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and a cool breeze blew through everyone's ears. I don't know how long they haven't felt such a cool breeze. Hua Kai felt a drop of rain falling on his head, and there was a burst of cheers from the Jixia school palace, and it finally rained. The rain came quickly, and the light rain became heavy rain with less than a stick of incense. Everyone stood in the rain and didn't want to leave. Everyone just asked God to rain more so that this year's wheat could have time to replant. God seemed to have heard everyone's prayers. The rain lasted 3 days. On April 1st, it rained and the sky cleared. Hua Kai saw green shoots out of the grass in the yard. After leaving the Shengjiyuan, he saw that many students and husbands were busy planting elixir in the open space of the Shuigang. In the past 3 years, most of the elixir had been killed by drought. Without the spiritual qi, they have become much thinner. Went to the restaurant for lunch, Hua Kai discovered that the regular steamed bun and noodles in Jixia Academy recently were not provided, which shows that even Qi's family does not have much surplus food. The drought is actually the most difficult time at this time. Now even if the wheat is planted in the field until the autumn harvest, there is still more than half a year. If the farmer's family does not have any surplus grain in the past 6 months, what should he take care of on the farmland? Moreover, Hua Kai believes that most of the people have eaten up their stored grains early. Even if they have land this year, it is still different whether they can harvest in autumn. The team from Jixia Academy to Shenyang City of Qin State has been determined. A giant led 4 academic scholars to escort, and the Qi family sent 100 elite guards. Everyone has decided to leave on April 5th. For more than 8,000 miles to the Shenyang city of Qin State, if there weren't for the existence of giants and multiple Shantian realms, they might not have been able to walk in 2 months. On April 3rd, Hua Kai had already prepared his luggage for the trip. This time he was traveling with his classmates and teachers. It was impossible for him to put everything in his pocket. Hua Mo, Shui Chen and others stood behind him, in their eyes it is deeply unwilling to give up. After Hua Kai left, no one made up for them, and it was the first time that Hua Kai was alone without family members. Everyone was worried about his comfort. Don't worry, if everything goes well, I will be back at the end of this year. At that time, I will have to inspect your study situation. If anyone doesn't study well, see if I won't come back and clean him up. Hua Kai said deliberately. Having lived with Hua Zan and others for so long, this time he still left home alone. Hua Kai was a little bit reluctant, but this time he went to Qin State and had confessed to Sage he could not go. 38%. Chapter 219 King Qi is seriously ill. Hua Kai was packing the luggage he was leaving tomorrow in the living room. At this time, Meng Yunfei hurriedly walked in, not as calm as before. Holy Sun, something has happened. Meng Yunfei said breathlessly. What's the matter? Speak slowly. Hua Kai came to him and said. The king of Qi is critically ill. Now the representatives of the 4 kingdoms and 5 counties aristocratic families have arrived in Lindsay City. I heard that many state and county families will move their families into Qi this time. Meng Yunfei said anxiously. King Qi is critically ill, but no one dared to spread it around. Hua Kai thought that King Qi was on the battlefield of Yan Kingdom, and he didn't know when he had already returned. As for the life expectancy of King Qi, Hua Kai knows better than anyone. Bai Shou Dan increased his life by 20 years. It has only been 4 years now. It stands to reason that King Qi has at least 16 years of life. He suddenly became critically ill somehow. It is impossible to say that the injuries suffered in the country of Yan are impossible, and the East Hu coalition forces have no one who can hurt the king of Qi. How could King Qi suddenly become critically ill? Wasn't it rumored that he went to court twice a month last year? Hua Kai asked deliberately. The legend is that King Qi hurt his vitality in order to cultivate a spiritual treasure, but I don't know if the news is really true. I know, as the 3rd-rank family in Lindsay City, the Meng family really didn't know much about it. Hearing this, Hua Kai knew that the trouble was serious, and most of the news was true. Knowing that he could not break through into the Gold Core realm, King Qi simply used the few remaining lifespan to leave a spirit treasure for the Qi family, but after all, he was not in the Gold Core realm. How could the spirit treasure be so good to nurture it? It will be difficult for him to recover anymore. Moreover, the news can reach Jixia Academy so quickly. It must be the 3rd rank and above families in Lindsay City deliberately preaching that 9 families from the 6 countries and 5 counties affiliated to the Qi state have come. This is to stir this pool of water. Many territories and cities of the 6 countries and 5 counties affiliated to Qi state were hacked by refugees last year. Today, the population of the people under his control has dropped sharply by half, and most of them are unregulated refugees. Staying in the territory is responsible for the survival of these refugees. Where do they have food for the refugees now? The whole family is invested in the hinterland of Qi country, no longer need to pay attention to those annoying refugees. When the family enters the Qi country and Qi family, they have to redistribute power to them. There is nothing better than this. Before the Yan Kingdom War was over, Qi's internal forces had already begun planning to reorganize. Hua Kai knew that when the war ended, the power structure of Qi would change drastically. All the students in Jixia Academy belong to the own circle. All the students in the academy are actually hostages of King Qi. Everyone pays great attention to the Qi family at Jixia Academy. The one who talks most privately is what happened to King Qi. Now the topic of King Qi's critical illness spread all of a sudden in Jixia Academy. I usually don't see much on the surface, but the frequency of gatherings of students from Jixia Academy has increased in the past few days. The reorganization of Qi state power has become inevitable. Everyone is worried about the future of their family. Most of the people who can study in Jixia Academy are the core of the family. Everyone privately exchanged information and secretly formed alliances, all of which are working for the possible turmoil in Qi state. Prepare. Hua Kai originally thought that such a big event had happened in Qi state, and Jixia Academy should not participate in this Qi state debate conference. However, the academy didn't seem to have any idea about it and did not intend to cancel his visit to Qin state. In the early morning of April 5th, Huakai rode to Qin with 5 teachers from Jixia Academy and 100 elite guards from Qi State. All of them rode horses from the Qi Palace. After walking for more than 2 hours, everyone stopped after walking all the way to the south from Lindsay City. Huakai's Luma, who is used to riding a regular horse, feels too slow to ride a normal steed, and after only 2 hours of running, he has no energy, so he can walk 300 miles in a day. Huakai came to the leader of the team. He first gave the other party a gift, and the other party returned the gift. Junior brother Hua, I don't know if you have anything to do with me. Is this horse a riding habit? The giant said. This leader is also a student of Zheng Sage, so he gets along with his brother Huakai. Giant, not far from the front is Wahiapu. I have not returned home for more than 2 years. This time I passed by the door and hoped to see my family. You don't have to wait for me. I went home and changed my own horse. Soon can catch up, Huakai said. Then pay attention to your own safety. This is a rhinoceros talisman. I have my mental energy in it. You can detect my position by detecting mental energy. Remember to pay attention to your safety. The giant knew that Hua Zichen could not escape because he was the son of Sage, a student of Sage. What he is worried about is Huakai's safety. As the only giant in Jixia Academy, his purpose of leading the team this time is still for Huakai. Huakai nodded and promised. When the group of them passed Wahiapu, Huakai stopped, handed the horse to an accompanying guard, and walked towards Wahiapu alone. Wahiabao has not changed much from when he left more than 2 years ago, but the villages outside the fort are not so scattered. Today, there are only 4 villages with a population of more than 300 people, and they are already affiliated to the Hua family. After entering the outer city gate, there is still no entrance fee here. Hua Ziji has repeatedly advised the Hua family to charge the entrance fee. The defensive fee doesn't seem to be much, but there are more people coming in and out, and there are a few dollars every day, but Huakai directly refused when he heard it. Wahiapu would never charge an entrance fee. Huakai wants business value and prosperity value. Even if the management in the castle is more difficult, he must first ensure the prosperity of the family, which can actually better cultivate the management and problem-solving ability of family members. Wahiapu now has a population of close to 20,000, which is almost the same as the former Guangxian town. It is no longer appropriate to call it a village. When Huakai entered Wahiapu, he saw that all the plans here have not changed, but the roads and construction are much stronger than they were 2 years ago. There are many streets in Waipu, and many houses or buildings with 4 or more floors. Behind the commercial streets are all 2- and 3-story pavilions and courtyards. It seems that there are at least more than 300 small courtyards. A patrolman seemed to see that Huakai was a little suspicious and followed him quietly. Huakai noticed that he stopped and looked at each other. Patriarch, the patrol member Huakai had some impressions. He was one of the slaves he brought back from the grassland for the second time. Haha, I haven't been home for almost 3 years, it seems everyone hasn't forgotten me yet. Huakai said with a smile. I haven't forgotten. If you forget, no one can forget the Patriarch. I'll tell the third master. The patrol member saw that it was Huakai really, and said excitedly. He was still a teenager when he left, and in a blink of an eye he was already 18 years old. When he arrived at the gate of the Nibao, the gate was still what Huakai remembered as a child. Since Wahiabao had an outer wall, he has only symbolic meaning. Several Wahiapu villagers saw Huakai and greeted him with excitement. Although Huakai's reputation in Wahiapu has not decreased in the past 3 years, more and more people worship him. The non-famous reputation of the saint son of the Hua family has spread throughout the Qi country. Who does not know that the head of the Hua family is a saint son? Generally, the children of the family will be polite when they come to Wahiapu, and the development of the family in the past few years is all Huakai led the development. The news of Huakai's homecoming soon came from inside the fort. Many villagers and tourists who had never seen Huakai followed the crowd to see what the son of Sheng looked like. Surrounded by the crowd, Huakai saw his third uncle Hua Ziji approaching him. The main core members of the family have gone to the battlefield and have not yet returned. Now the third uncle is left at home. The second uncle is in the county. Huakai saw that the third uncle has also come to the pneumatic realm. Now the core members of the Hua family have the lowest strength above the pneumatic realm. K, why did you come back suddenly? What happened to Jixia Academy? Hua Ziji also heard about King Qi's serious illness. No, Shuigong organized to participate in the debate meeting organized by the state of Qin. I participated on behalf of the Shuigong. Today is the day of departure. I passed by the door and came in to see if anything happened at home recently. Hua Kai asked. Ever since his grandfather, fourth uncle, and fifth uncle went to the battlefield of Yan State, Hua Kai had no source of family news. With the strength of the Hua family in Guangxian nowadays, it is difficult to encounter any difficulties. Everything is fine at home, let's go home. Hua Ziji said he was going home with Hua Kai. Hua Kai knew that Uncle San might not be able to talk to him face to face, so he followed him to the main courtyard. After you left, there were more and more disaster victims in Guangxian City, and the food consumption in the family was very large. Last year, the Yao family came to borrow food, and half a month ago, they borrowed 10,000 stone and grain seeds. I didn't dare to respond. Hua Ziji said to Hua Kai. The dawn before the dawn is the most difficult one. All families have almost reached their limit. Whoever has food can gather a lot of high-quality people. Without food, they can only give up their territories like 4 countries and 5 counties and choose to keep them. The family core is looking for another way out. How much food is left at home now? Lu is our ally, so let's borrow some if you can. Hua Kai said. There is less than 100,000 shi of food left in the family. In the past 2 years or so, all affiliated families of the Hua family have borrowed more than 100,000 shi. The Yao family has borrowed more than 40,000 shi many times, and the family consumes more than 50,000 shi, mainly refugees. Too many victims outside of our fort and in the city have been rescued by more than 50,000 people. In the past few years alone, they have consumed more than 100,000 shi of food, and food shops and restaurants have also consumed a lot of food. Hua Ziji said. Hua Kai originally thought that there was enough food for 500,000 shi at home, but he didn't expect it to be consumed so quickly. Guangxian City and Wahiapu were able to survive the 3 years of the disaster, but instead became more prosperous against the trend, thanks to the food supply of Wahia. By the way, the most troublesome problem now is that it is not a long-term solution for us to keep so many refugees like this. The 5,000 people in the family have to maintain their order all day, afraid that they will make trouble. I heard that Gangneung County, the city, refugees in Yang County and other places are already spreading everywhere, and the number of our refugee camps will have to increase dramatically by then. Hua Ziji added. 39%. Chapter 220. Solving the refugee problem. The refugee problem is the most difficult problem for all countries in the Central Plains today. They can do anything to survive without food. Countries cannot directly suppress these refugees. Otherwise, when the famine is over, there will be no people. Farm and work for them. The refugee problem is indeed a big problem. If you don't handle it well, it may cause a big deal. It won't work to drive them away now. Let me think about it again. Let's talk about this tomorrow. I will fill the granary. Hua Kai said. Maybe only Hua Kai can say if it is so proud. The Wahiapu granary can hold more than 300,000 shi of grain, which is enough food for 150,000 people a year. After returning to the west courtyard to see his grandmother, his mother lives in Guangxian City. Hua Kai saw that the entire Wahia fortress has now been constructed. There are double-story wooden buildings everywhere in the inner fort. The density of this building is not worse than that of Lindsay City. However, these indicate that Wahiapu has reached the upper limit of population, and development has already encountered bottleneck. To increase prosperity, only a third wall can be expanded outwards, but Hua Kai is unwilling to do that. The geographical location of Guangxian town is much better than that of Wahiapu. The two sides are more than 10 miles apart. After the expansion, the difficulty of defense of Wahiapu will increase tenfold. He would rather find a defensive place and rebuild a new station. Let Wahiapu and Guangxian Shuangcheng stand side by side. In the evening of the afternoon, Hua Kai appeared in the martial arts training ground. Everyone in the Hua family saw the patriarch returned, and they all worked hard. Hua Kai pointed out some qualified young people splitting gun and found out more than 40 family directories. The members asked them to go to the main courtyard to find him at night. The familiar rhythm is back again, and some Chinese hometown dings are excited from ear to ear. Most of them have not entered the family secret realm space trial for 4 years. Reminiscent of the previous scene of rapid advancement in strength, it is very nostalgic. In the past 2 years, the names of family members in the 500-person list have changed many times, but the last one has always been 94 points of loyalty, and it can't be promoted. In the evening, more than 40 people entered the family secret realm space trial. Among them, more than 20 people entered for the first time. Everyone has a large attribute. Seeing here, Huakai decided to stay at home for a few more days and put everyone in those who can try are sent to the secret realm for a trial, and there will surely be a few more chi training realms by then. Family secret realm space in the family's 500-member list. More than 300 people are currently in the aerodynamic state, and many have reached the late stage of the aerodynamic state. In the past few days, he has given them ascension to Zochin, and when he leaves home, he will enter Lingtian. Shu Hua used the wind-fire futon to upgrade them, and he was leaving some barrier-breaking pills at that time. In the morning of the next day, Huakai sent another 40 family members after the trial was over. Everyone needs to enter the secret realm 3 times, and within 3 days he can complete the trial for 80 people. In this way, if he wants to send all the more than 200 people in the family into the family secret realm space, he has to stay at home for about 10 days. The situation in Qi is now unstable. The main force of the Hua family has not yet returned home from Yan. The family needs ascension some combat power before Hua Kai can rest assured. When he came to Sanshu's house, Sanshu was still counting the amount of food used by the refugees. Today, more than 2,000 victims have arrived in Guangxian County, and 2 more refugee camps need to be set up to resettle them. The warehouse is all sorted out, and I have told the people who guard the warehouse that no one can enter the warehouse for these 2 days. Hua Ziji saw Hua Kai and said, I went to release the food at noon. Is there another refugee in Guangxian? Hua Kai said while looking at Sanshu's account book. Each refugee camp is worth 5 shi of food a day, and 54 refugee camps are worth nearly 10,000 shi a month. The food consumption is really like running water in this situation. In the past few days, more and more refugees have come to Guangxian. Hua Zijia said distressedly. Today, Guangxian County and all the refugee population has exceeded 100,000, which is no less than some counties. I thought yesterday that it is not a long-term solution to let the refugees stay in the refugee camps, just like Qin State built the Great Wall. Okay, let them find something to do, Hua Kai said. The expansion of the home has been completed, the city wall has been repaired several times, and even the official roads of Guangxian City have been repaired. Hua Ziji said. I've been to Shengjing in Shu Kingdom. They led the river to the outside of the city and built crisscrossing rivers, which could prevent the beasts from attacking the city. Most of the beasts do not understand water. Our Wahiabao is far to the west. Yan is also more than 80 miles away. Hua Kai's words caused Hua Ziji to fall into contemplation. Wahiapu was surrounded by mountains to the west, and the amount of work needed to bring the river back was huge, but when he thought of the refugee camp outside Guangxian, he nodded. Let the refugees have something to do and they will have no riots. We can have more than 10,000 acres of fertile land outside the fort, and then we can build more villages outside the city. The refugees will have a basis for survival in the future. When the famine is over, perhaps the most precious thing is population. Hua Kai continued. He took out a rough topographical map outside Wahiapu. The Yan River drained 10 miles to the north of Wahiapu. Dozens of man-made small rivers led to the outer city wall, leading to countless small canals, and there were more than 40 bridges. So, if this project is completed, as long as you guard a few bridges outside, it will be difficult for the wild beasts to pose a threat to the people. It is impossible for this project to be completed without tens of thousands of people. Okay, I will let the Liu family craftsmen design construction drawings in the afternoon. The family has accumulated 100,000 taels of gold in the past few years, which is enough to complete the project. Hua Ziji looked at the drawings that Huakai took out and nodded. In addition, some bone coins are rewarded to the victims who have performed well every day, so that they can have the capital to settle down, and they will not have the thought of rioting. In the past few days, I went to several refugee camps, and I have good qualifications and can earn Chinese income. The family can also be accepted by the affiliated family. After the reorganization of the Qi country, our Hua family will surely impress all the families. Hua Kai confidently said. As a rebirth, Hua Kai knows the importance of the people better than everyone. They may not seem to have any combat power or craftsmanship, but they are the foundation of all development. After this famine, these victims will become the development of the Hua family. New momentum. Went around the refugee camp outside the fort, and there are really a lot of qualified refugees. 2 years have passed. Among the refugees who are capable of being above the Kaiyuan level have long been picked out by various forces. Most of the young girls have also supplemented the imbalance in the ratio of men to women in Wahiapu. Huakai found an A in the first refugee camp. Qualified juveniles, there are also 17B or higher qualifications. Choosing refugees tired, Wakai went back to the house to sleep and continued to realize the essence of each masterpiece in his dreams. He has come here for more than half a year. In the afternoon, mental energy resumed its selection of qualified refugees and sent family members for trials in the evening. After 3 days, he selected all the 54 refugee camps outside Guangxian City. A total of 76 people with A or higher qualifications and 1,235 B. The above qualifications are almost equally divided between men and women. The highest among these refugees was a 9-year-old girl with A+ qualification, who was accepted as a first class made by Wahiabao. Wakai wanted to see if he could find someone with a qualification above S, but he was disappointed. On the afternoon of April 8, Wakai was waiting for the arrival of the family tester in the main courtyard. At this time, the family came to report that it was Princess Jila who had returned. Princess Jila has rarely returned to Wahiapu in Wafu, the city of Guangxian. She came back today to look for Huakai. I have seen the princess. Wakai saw Princess Jila enter the door and salute. Kyer doesn't need to be polite. I am a member of the Wa family. You can call my aunt or Jila. I should be the one who should salute. Princess Jila said. Why the fifth aunt is going back to Wahiapu today, but there is something to do with me. Wakai asked. Oh, my father sent me a letter these few days, saying that all the food in the family has been exhausted, the royal palace has restricted food supply, and many cities in Lu have been broken by the victims. My father is very distressed. I hope that the Chinese family can support. Some grains will be returned 10 times in the future. Princess Jila said with a deep face. Princess Jila knows that the Wa family has food. As the princess of Lu, she can't watch Lu continue to chaos like this. The food used by the Wa family in the past few years has been no less than 100,000 shi. If she can support Lu Guowan stone grain, so there is still time to supplement wheat this year. Looking at the face of your fifth aunt, you should support Lu State. I don't know how much food Lu State needs to survive the immediate crisis. Wakai asked. There are more than 500,000 people in the Lu country, and if there are 100,000 shi, the country can almost settle down, and the wheat planting will cost more than 40,000 shi in spring plowing. Princess Jila said. 100,000 stone food. Wakai muttered softly, walking in the living room, thinking about the pros and cons of helping Lu Guo. If it were before King Qi was not in a critical condition, Huakai would never help the state of Lu, as that would only make King Qi feel suspicious. Now Qi state has begun to be unstable. If he shows his relationship with Lu state, many aristocratic families in Lindsay City will have to reconsider their attitude towards the Chinese family. They have spent a long time in the Jixia Academy and have a relationship with the aristocratic families. He also knows a lot better than before. Princess Jila waited anxiously. She knew that although Wakai was not at home normally, Wakai was in charge of the entire Wa family after all. Although she did not know how much surplus food was left in the family, as long as Wakai was willing to help Lu Guo, then Lu Guo would do it. There will be less riots and losses. 3 days later, the Wa family will set up a convoy to send food to Lu State. Then I want to meet Lu Wang in person. Wakai said in silence for a while. I'll go too. I haven't been home for 3 years, I want to go home and have a look. Princess Jila looked at Wakai and said. For the princesses who marry in other countries like this, it is not easy to go home, and she must get the approval of the head of the family. Okay, you can go with the fifth aunt this time. Bring some more to the family of the Lu national clan, and you can't weaken the name of the Wa family when you return to Chufu. Wakai said, and you return to Chufu. Wakai said, and you return to Chufu. Wakai said,